Okay, let's end our conversations, please. It is 8 o'clock, and I'm calling to order night 4 of the Arlington Annual Town Meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Arlington Community Media, Inc. for broadcasting, live streaming, and archiving town meeting here each night. ACMi is our town's nonprofit community media center and cable access channel, and without them, we'd not be able to watch and rewatch important government proceedings such as town meeting. Tonight is budget night at town meeting, and it's very exciting. Let's hold your applause until the meeting adjourns or is dissolved. The budget articles give you an opportunity to ask questions about budget items and dollar figures to make sure that the town is using taxpayer dollars prudently and effectively. Of course, it's up to all of you, town meeting members, to decide what prudent and effective means. At the same time, I hope that folks with questions have already done some homework. I ask that you be mindful that asking for a tutorial on the basics of how budgets work is probably not the best use of the valuable time of the nearly 300 people assembled here tonight. Our town manager, Mr. Feeney, would like to introduce the town's department heads who are present tonight to answer your questions about the budgets later on. Mr. Feeney.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. For the town's department heads, I would just ask that you stand up and wave once I call your name. And we'll start with Superintendent Dr. Elizabeth Homan, Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations, Chris Schweitzer, Chief Information Officer, Patricia Shepard, Director of Assessments, Dana Mann, Treasurer Collector Lynn Gallagher, our Public Works Director, Mike Rademacher, Director of Inspectional Services, Mike Champa, Select Board Administrator, Ashley Marr, Facilities Director, Jay McNeil, Comptroller, Ida Cody, Police Chief, Julie Flaherty, Budget Coordinator, Lauren Costa, Deputy Town Manager, Finance Director, Julie Wayman, Town Council, Mike Cunningham, Deputy Town Manager for Operations, Christine Bongiorno, Director of Recreation and Community Services, Natasha Waden, Director of Libraries, Anna Litton, Human Resources Director, Karen Malloy. We have our Communications Director, Joan Roman, Deputy Fire Chief, Ryan Melly, standing in tonight. I see Director of Health and Human Services, Colleen Legere, and then our Director of Planning and Community Development, Claire Ricker. Thank you.
Okay, more announcements. I'll try to be quick. The high volume of requests for materials to be added to the annotated warrant continues. Due to the high volume of materials, especially on specific articles that have a long list of attachments on them in the annotated warrant, I've gotten some feedback about some confusion about how the materials are named and organized. I've consulted with the town clerk about how to address this, and going forward, we're going to use a new organizational structure for materials published in the annotated warrant under each article. The submission guidelines remain the same. They are not changed. What's changing is how the materials will appear in the annotated warrant. How it appears is an undocumented feature of the guidelines. It's not specified in the guidelines how they appear in the warrant, annotated warrant. I'm told that the changes will go live Friday afternoon. Is that right, Ms. Brazil? Yeah. Again, you don't need to do anything different about how you're submitting materials or the schedule or timeline or deadlines for submitting materials to the annotated warrant. The town clerk and I will simply be publishing those materials in a slightly different format, which you'll see at the end of this week. I hope this helps everyone navigate the materials more easily and with less confusion going forward. It's my pleasure to introduce our next guest performer of this town meeting. Tonight, we have the pleasure of hosting Elise Guthier. She's a junior at Arlington High School who wants to study nursing and music, and she's performed at Fenway Park twice. Please join me in welcoming her to town meeting. Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. Okay. Okay, Mr. Hurd, I believe you have a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. John Hurd, Chair of the Select Board. It is moved that if all the business of the meeting as set forth in the warrant for the annual town meeting is not disposed of at this session, when the meeting adjourns, it adjourns to Monday, May 11th, 2026 at 8 p.m. at Town Hall.
Okay, we have a motion that you just heard, and we have a second. All those in favor say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. And it is unanimous. We will reconvene on Wednesday if we don't finish tonight. We'll now take a test vote. I'm sorry, Monday, May 11th. Thank you. And the test question is true or false? 1 for true, 2 for false. The English word budget derives from the name of an ancient breed of dog related to the modern Rottweiler, known for, well, I can finish reading it. Known for wearing pouches around their necks for holding their owner's money and valuables for safekeeping. And I do know the answer to this question. Let's leave voting open, so, yep. Get your votes, your test votes in. Does the English word budget derive from the name of a breed of dog? Okay, let's close voting. And the motion fails, 46 to 126. And the nays have it. Precision should not imply accuracy. The word budget stems from the French word bouget, the diminutive of bouge, which stems from the Latin bulga, meaning a leather bag, like the kind you might put valuables in and attach to your dog's collar, which they did. Okay. So we'll go through the screens. And as those are cycling through, are there any announcements or resolutions for tonight? Yes, we have a hand here. Ms. Hanson.
Good evening. My name is Linda Hanson, Precinct 9.
Nandana Mewada, Precinct 3.
And we are here this evening because we both serve on Arlington Eats Board, and we're here to update you on the work that is being done to support all of our residents who experience food insecurity in our town. Next slide, please. Greater Boston Food Bank estimates that the food insecurity rate in Arlington is around 20%, or 4,000 households. Statewide, the number is 40%. In Massachusetts, the rate of food insecurity has more than doubled since 2019, driven by rising costs, ongoing economic instability, and changes to federal policy. We feel the effects from all of these factors right here in Arlington. Arlington Eats currently meets approximately 60% of the needs for food in Arlington. Many families have already lost or will soon lose their SNAP benefits due to the new federal policies that stipulate that only U.S. citizens will be able to continue to receive benefits. The new rules have also increased the work requirements to include a greater age band, as well as people living with disabilities. This means some families are relying on the food they receive at Arlington Eats more than ever. Next slide, please. Arlington Eats offers 7 different food-related programs. Our flagship program, the Eats Market at 117 Broadway, is our most popular program, currently serving 550 households each week. Households make appointments to shop weekly and can pick out things their family needs for the week. We also have a delivery option available for those unable to get to the market or for those who fear going out in public due to immigration enforcement. We wanted to highlight this evening an exciting new pilot program that just opened at Drake Village. As of April 23rd, there is now an Eats mini market at Drake Village that will provide access to nutritious food for seniors right where they live. It's a creative partnership between the Arlington Housing Authority and Arlington Eats. It's open twice a week for Drake residents.
Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. We want to remind you that Arlington Eats is here for the entire community. We serve residents from across town, no questions asked. This map shows us where Eats guests live, and as you can see, our guests come from all precincts. The only requirement is that you live in Arlington. There is no other income or citizenship information needed. Next slide, please. As previously mentioned, we currently serve 550 households each week. Through the food families receive, they typically save around $3,000 a year on their groceries, and this money can be repurposed for other necessities such as utilities, healthcare, and childcare. Next slide, please. Can I have a show of hands, please, of any town meeting members who've had the opportunity to tour the Arlington Eats Market? That's great. Well, for the rest of you, I have an announcement, which is we would like to invite you to 2 special open houses just for town meeting members. One on Thursday, June 11th, and the other on Friday, June 12th, at the Market, 117 Broadway. Please join us. Finally, we would like to conclude by thanking the entire community for their generous support of our work and our mission. We are incredibly grateful for the volunteer hours and financial contributions that keep Arlington Eats running and able to serve our residents. We would also like to thank Town Meeting for approving the CDBG grant. This money will specifically help us support Arlington seniors. If you have any questions or would like more information, please feel free to reach out to Linda or me, either during the break or on any other night of town meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements or resolutions tonight? Nope, seeing none. Was that a hand in the back? No. Okay. Now call for reports of committees. Ms. Deschler? Are there any reports to be received by town meetings tonight? Okay, Ms. Deschler?
Christine Deschler, Chair of the Finance Committee. I move that Article 3 be taken from the table.
Okay, we have a motion to take Article 3 from the table, and we have a second. All those in favor say yay. All those opposed say nay. It is a unanimous vote, and therefore 2/3. So Article 3 is now before us. Ms. Deschler?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the supplemental report of the Finance Committee relative to Article 84 be received.
Okay, we have a motion to receive the supplemental report of the Finance Committee, and this is posted on the town meeting website? Yes, thank you. And we have a second. All those in favor of receiving the supplemental Finance Committee report say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous. It is now in the record. Let's see, Ms. Deschler? Any other reports of committees? Was that a point of order, or what was that? A point of order? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Nancy Bloom, Precinct 18. When the Arlington Eats presentation was put up, we had not gone through all the screens, so we could not see if we'd voted on that first vote.
Oh, we didn't get through all the screens on the voting?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Can we go through do we have the vote screens from the test vote? Apologies for that. We'll go through those. And while those are cycling through, are there any other reports of committees to be received? Seeing none, Ms. Deschler?
Christine Deschler, Chair of the Finance Committee. I move that Article 3 be laid upon the table.
Okay. We have a motion to lay Article 3 upon the table, and we have a second. All those in favor say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous. It is back on the table. Let's see. We'll now take up the budget, starting with Article 64 at the permission of the meeting. Ms. Deschler?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the undisposed articles between Articles 44 and 63 be laid upon the table.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to lay all the articles on the table to get us, to fast forward us to Article 64 for tonight. All those in favor say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is unanimous. So Article 64 is now before us. Okay.
Christine Deschler, Chair of the Finance Committee. Mr. Moderator, I request 10 minutes for a presentation.
Okay, we have a request for 10 minutes of presentation. All those in favor of a total of 10 minutes for Ms. Deschler's presentation on budgets, say yay. Yay. All those opposed to the extension, say nay. It is unanimous. You have 10 minutes, Ms. Deschler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Before we begin with the budgets, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize all of the people responsible for bringing you the Finance Committee report. The members of the Finance Committee began their work months ago in January. In addition to meeting twice a week, every Monday and Wednesday, for week after week, month after month until April, they attended numerous meetings with department heads, had numerous discussions with department heads, had discussions with the town manager, the deputy town manager, the comptroller. They collected, reviewed, and analyzed large amounts of data and other material and brought all of that back to the full committee for a full discussion and debate. And the result of all that work is this report. I would like to recognize them for their hard work and also note that their work has yet to be done. We don't finish until June. To show my gratitude, I'd like to recognize them, and when I announce their name, I would be grateful if they would stand. Starting with Paul Beer, who represents Precinct 1 up in the balcony. Jordan Remy, Precinct 2, I don't think he's with us tonight. Scott Mullen, where are you, Mully? There's Scott. Sophie Migliazzo isn't here tonight. Grant Gibeon is not here tonight as well. Carolyn White, Precinct 6, Rebecca Yunkin. Precinct 7, Josh Lobel. Precinct 8, Michael Ruderman. Precinct 9 is not here. Charlie Foskett. Precinct 10, Chuck Carney. Precinct 11, and my vice chairs, starting with Daryl Harmer, who represents Precinct 12, Annie LaCourte, Precinct 13, Alan Jones, Precinct 14, Topher Hyam, Precinct 15, Peggy Bliss is not with us, Al Tosti, Precinct 17, John Griffin, who represents Precinct 18, Dean Carmen up in the balcony, and Dave McKenna. Thank you. And one more, Micaiah Healy is there, our executive secretary. Thank you all for your work. At this point, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to relinquish my time to the town manager for the presentation.
Of course, Mr. Feeney.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator, and thank you to Christine Deschler for all her work on the Finance Committee. So I'm going to run through a brief presentation on the town's budget. Next slide, please. So here you will find what is Arlington's guiding financial document, what is known as our long-range plan. So this version is printed in the appendices of the Finance Committee report to town meeting. Know that this is the most important document we have. This document serves as the pro forma basis for the budgets being considered this year and for in years to come. This will be updated again before the close of the fiscal year to reflect this year's appropriations at town meeting, as well as our final state aid figures once they come out of an eventual conference committee in the State House. What I will highlight here is in a pink fuchsia-colored box at the bottom. Following the successful override in March, you will find there are zeros in the balance lines for fiscal years 27 through 29. So based on the assumptions in this model, we are projecting stability through fiscal year 29, with a structural deficit again appearing in fiscal year 2030, as shown in the balance line. Next slide, please. Here is a sort of comparison view of fiscal year 26, the current fiscal year, and fiscal year 27, the fiscal year we are budgeting for. Want to highlight some changes that were made in advance of the override election, many of which were aimed at lowering the override ask and improving the reliability and predictability of this financial model. These changes are also outlined in fuchsia-colored rectangles. First, to start, we trued up local receipts. This resulted in an increase of $2 million over fiscal year '26. We also introduced more formulaic estimations into this category to more accurately project future revenues. I should also note here that we're unfortunately no longer going to be able to count on what had been more than $3 million annually in interest revenue as the AHS and DPW projects have reached substantial completion and ARPA funds have been depleted. So we no longer have large sums of money sitting in our coffers collecting interest and generating a revenue surplus. Next, I will highlight the overlay reserve. You'll see there's a sharp increase in this revenue source in fiscal year '27, thanks to our Board of Assessors for releasing additional funds from the reserve this year to help support the budget and lower the override ask. Some other notable changes guiding this year's budget are that we collapsed the general and special education budgets into a single line with a single growth rate starting in fiscal year '27. That growth rate is 4%. Previously, the blended growth rate for the two separate budgets had equaled 4.5%. Also for this override period, we've removed the student enrollment growth factor variable, which was adjusted each year on a per pupil basis. Enrollment is projected to be relatively steady in the upcoming years, so this was zeroed out for this override period to make our budget projection more reliable. Then the town operating budget, again, is maintaining a net 3.25% growth per the Select Board's commitments. In the pensions line, you will find a reduced growth rate with the support of the Contributory Retirement Board. The agreed-upon growth rate was lowered from 5.5%, what it had been in recent years, to 5%, which actually yielded an effective growth rate of 4.76% in fiscal year '27 once we control for offsets from the enterprise funds. Health insurance remains a significant cost driver in town with an increase this year of 10.42%. This is our third consecutive year of double-digit growth in this line. Certainly a bit of a crisis across municipalities with respect to healthcare costs. And finally, you will see here that we are including curbside collection as its own line now for tracking purposes. And I can happy to report that the new containerized program is driving down both trash and recycling tonnages. We now bear the cost of processing our single-stream recyclables, and the growth rate here captures certain variables such as the weakness of the secondary commodity market, i.e. the value of the products we're recycling, as well as fuel adjustments, which are due to WM based off a baseline fuel price, and obviously fuel has been a bit all over the place. But here, as a result of the override, the final box shows that we will instead be making a deposit into the override stabilization fund this year that will be used in the out years to balance the budgets. Next slide, please. So here's just an overview of our revenue and expenditures for this year's $247 million budget. On the revenue side, as always, property tax makes up just over 75% of our budget, and state aid continues to be our second largest source of revenue. On the expenditure side, direct public education costs, including Arlington Public Schools and Minuteman, are taking up 47% of expenditures, and our overhead costs for the entire organization, including capital, debt service, insurance, and pensions, are taking up 27% of the budget. And then there is 20% of the budget being dedicated to annual municipal operating expenditures, including the departmental budgets, which we'll discuss tonight, curbside collection, and the Finance Committee Reserve Fund. Next slide, please. Here is that same budget in a tabular form. Here I will just highlight that the municipal department taxation total, again, is maintained at a 3.25% growth in accordance with the Select Board's override commitments. As always, the municipal departmental appropriations are divided between salaries and expenditures with roughly an 80-20 split between people and stuff. And this year, we did introduce a few new offsets to the general fund, including from a recurring state 911 grant, and we also increased existing offsets from the cemetery trust funds, the parking fund, and a public health substance abuse prevention grant, all in support of the general fund budget. Here, I will also note there is a slight but noticeable decrease in our exempt capital debt obligation to the Minuteman School due to their collecting capital contribution from out-of-district students, which reduces in-district community liability. Next slide, please.
We're at 30 seconds.
Okay. Why don't we skip to the next slide? Here, we are looking at some salary changes. Year over year, we're seeing an overall increase of 6.09% year over year, and that is due to yearly step increases, cost of living adjustments, newly eligible longevity payments, as well as market adjustments due in the second half of fiscal year 27 for ACMi and SEIU positions following the 2024 salary benchmarking survey that underpinned the fiscal years 25 through 27 collective bargaining agreements ratified by town meeting in 24. The bottom line of this chart also shows the salary reserve, which contains the funds to be transferred to the police department and fire department budgets if Article 62 receives favorable action later in the meeting. These two specific departmental budgets have not increased much in recent years due to the employees being outside of contract, so the only adjustments were for steps and longevity. However, the firefighters and patrol officers have been out of agreement since fiscal year 24, and the ranking officers have been working outside of agreement since fiscal year 21. We're pleased to report everyone now does have a current collective bargaining agreement, so this sum of money was set aside for appropriation later in the meeting to reconcile these two departmental budgets to where they will need to be in fiscal year 27, which is certainly a lot of ground to cover in a single fiscal year for upwards of 150 employees.
We're a minute over time.
Okay.
So yeah.
I have more to say, but I'm sure it'll come up during debate. Thank you.
And as kind of offsetting that, there were some introductions to the Finance Committee and some applause, and so I think that works out. Thank you, Mr. Feeney. So now, can we bring up, don't worry about the speaker queue yet. If you haven't seen how budgets are done, it works similarly, but a little different from the consent agenda, which I'll explain. Can we bring up my slide for Article 64? This is just a procedural slide. No, the moderator slide says Article 64, Town Budgets. I won't be presenting on the budgets, but I will be just explaining the procedure. Next slide. Yeah, right here. So these are the town budgets. This is an Appendix B of the Finance Committee report. And I will run through these one at a time, like I did with articles in the consent agenda. And if you're interested in having discussion on a particular budget, or some of them are funds at the end, then yell hold. And I will ask for your name, and I will write it down. And so we're just going to go through looking for holds. And then we'll circle back, and we'll have a separate debate for each particular budget that was held, and skip over the ones that were not held. And then at the end, after we finish all the debates on all the held budgets, we will have a vote on one vote on the entire budget, and potentially any amendments if anyone offers floor amendments. I didn't receive any amendments in advance. I know there is as you actually saw, there was a spoiler that there is, as there is every year, a Arlington Public School budget presentation. And so I think it makes sense to, I forget how we've done it in previous years, but I figure we'll do that when we get to debate of education. I assume someone will probably want to hold education, and we could have that presentation at that time. Okay. So without further ado, I will run through the budgets. Don't worry about the speaker queue yet, because again, we're going to have a separate speaker queue for each budget that gets held after running through this first quick pass. Got it? Okay. Okay. So number 1, Finance Committee. Remember, just yell hold if you want to discuss anything under that budget. Number 2, Select Board. Number 3, Town Manager. Number 4, Human Resources. Number 5, Information Technology. Number 6, Comptroller. Number 7, Treasurer Collector. Number 8, Postage. Number 9, Board of Assessors. Number 10, Legal. Name and precinct? Okay. You can't see me writing it on a separate doc, but I have recorded that, yes. Budget number 11, town clerk. Okay, got it. Mr. Ciano is holding the town clerk budget. Number 12, Board of Registrars. Number 13, parking. Number 14, planning and community development. Number 15, redevelopment board. Number 16, zoning board of appeals.
I'm going to go Mike Hot.
Number 17, public works. Who's the hold? Who's the first one? Mr. Tremblay. People who have been here before have an idea of what that might be about. Number 18, facilities. Number 19, police services.
Hold.
Who was the first hold?
Peter Gass, Precinct 2.
Ezra Fisher. Okay. Number 20, fire services. Who's that? Oh, Gordon. Okay, thank you. Gordon Jameson. Okay. Number 21, inspections. Who is that? Got it. Okay. Number 22, education. Who is that? Okay. Number 23, libraries. Who is that? Okay. Number 24, health and human services. 25, retirement. Who is that? Okay. I'm sorry, which was that, 25 or 26? 25, thank you. Mr. Jameson's holding retirement, number 25. Number 26, insurance. Mr. Jameson? Okay. Number 27, reserve fund. Letter A, water and sewer enterprise fund. Letter B, recreation enterprise fund. Letter C, Ed Burns Arena enterprise fund. Letter D, Council on Aging Transportation Enterprise Fund. And finally, letter E, Arlington Youth Counseling Center Enterprise Fund. Okay, so we've done our first pass through, and we have several budgets to go through. So we'll start now. Can we clear the speaker queue?
Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Can you hear us? That is my point of order. My point of order is that I think that we can't be heard from the satellite room. I will keep saying
Speaker
this
queue is
until I
clear.
hear something that
And we can
indicates
even show, we can just show the speaker
order.
queue at this point. Speaker queue is clear. I'll now invite up, so
Point of order.
we're now going to have debate about, or discussion or debate about budget number 10,
Point of
legal by Mr. Andrew Fisher.
Point of
Mr. Fisher, do you want to lead us off? And anyone else who wants to
Point of
discuss?
Point of order.
Point of order? Yes.
The mic in the satellite room is not giving audio to you.
Oh,
Point of order.
I'm
Point of
sorry to hear
order.
that.
Point of order. Thanks, Pete. Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Awesome. We wanted to make a point of order that we couldn't be heard, but now
I'm
we
so
can
sorry
be
about
heard.
that. Were there any budgets that anyone from the satellite room wished to hold that were not held?
Not that we're not held. It was Ezra Fisher also held it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Let's see, so for budget number 10, legal, Mr. Andrew Fisher? Yes. You pass. Anyone else want to discuss the speaker queue is open and there's no other speakers who've requested to speak, so we'll move to budget 11 now. Speaker queue is still open and clear. Budget number 11, town clerk, Mr. Ciano, you want to lead us off? And anyone else who wants to discuss the town clerk budget, feel free to request to speak at this time. Yes, please.
Frank Ciano, Precinct 15. So my question is, on the town clerk, there's a change under personnel services. The change is 39.31%, which is a big change. So can somebody explain that to me, why? They do good work, but why the change? Why the increased amount?
Ms. Brazil, do you want to? Okay.
Jim Feeney, Town Manager. So that increase is with election workers. We are due to have an increased number of elections, 3 in the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay. Seeing no other requests to speak on the town clerk budget, we will now move to the next held budget, which was number 17, Public Works. Mr. Tremblay, you have the floor. And anyone else who wishes to speak on Public Works, feel free to request to speak. So after Mr. Tremblay, we'll take Mr. Stephen Moore and then Mr. Yeah. Point of order? Mr. Jalka, was it? Yeah.
Daniel Jalka, Precinct 6. I think a lot of people are having trouble seeing the displays because it seems as though maybe it's a higher resolution and shrunk down. It's tinier than usual, so if there's anything that can be done to get us back to, because we don't need all that blank space, if there's anything that can be done to make the resolution lower, I think it would improve the visibility.
Hey, we'll see what we can do. I'm not sure why or if it is smaller. It does look pretty small. We'll see what we can do, like maybe at the break. Okay. Mr. Tremblay, it's all yours.
Ed Tremblay, Precinct 19. Mr. Moderator, I was curious how much salt we used last year. And,
Mr. Rademacher?
I do want to apologize to Mr. Rademacher because I should have given him a heads up on what questions I was going to ask.
I'm sure he knew it was coming.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Rademacher.
Oh, can you use the center microphone? I think that microphone is dead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Rademacher, Director of Public Works. This past winter season, we used approximately 8,100 ton of salt.
So that's sort of typical lately. And
it was a more extreme winter than we've had recently, so more salt than we've used recently. Yes.
are we using the road speed sanding, the metering systems?
Mr. Rademacher, can you speak to like the kind of sanding system we're using?
Yes, our salting vehicles are equipped with equipment which monitors the speed of the vehicle to regulate the application of the product, yes.
Because some of the storms, it seemed like the application was right, it was perfect. There was very little left at the end of the storm. It came out good. Some of the storms, there was one in particular, there was salt blowing in the air for days afterwards. And it seemed like somebody must have put it down at the stay home rate.
Mr. Rademacher, is there questions to be directed to me, and I'll relay them. Why do we have some good applications of salt and some bad applications of salt, and can we fix that?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I believe it's more a function of the amount of moisture on the road when the salt is applied. If we're cleaning up at the end of a storm and there's maybe a thin layer of ice, the salt may linger more or not be washed off as quickly as if there's a heavy snowstorm continually occurring.
Okay, thank you. Different question. Mr. Moderator, is there going to be any effort made this year to time traffic lights to each other?
Mr. Rademacher, do we have timed traffic lights, and is that something that is being planned?
We have several, thank you, Mr. Moderator, Mike Rademacher, Director of Public Works. We do have several intersections where the lights are timed. We are having a problem, and maybe this is the one location that is being referenced in the center of town from Mass and Pleasant and Mass at Swan, and then again Mass at Medford, We are having some issues with the technology there, and we are actively working on that. Those were designed so during rush hour, Mass Ave would have priority through those 3 intersections, and unfortunately, the equipment is not operating as designed, and we're actively working on that.
Well, there's several other intersections around town that, by the Stop and Shop, for instance, the lights frequently can make you sit there for quite a while, going from red light to red light to red light. Down by Bates Road, that's another one.
Well, it sounds like they're well-timed in the other direction.
So another question I would have, are we going to do anything? Are we done digging up Pleasant Street?
Is the question, are we done beating up Pleasant Street? Is that, did I hear that right? Mr. Rademacher, are we done beating up Pleasant Street?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mike
You mean like
Rademacher.
the construction, Mr. Tremblay?
Excuse me?
Are you talking about the construction, Mr. Tremblay, like in front of the police department?
It's the gas company's been down there digging up the street. There's been water main work. I dug up the street myself in preparation for a big mass water resource project that I'm not sure if that's happened yet, actually.
I apologize. The police department's on Mystic, sorry, it's in line, but yeah. Mr. Rademacher, do you have an answer to that?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, thank you. Pleasant Street we're referring to.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes. So Pleasant Street, unfortunately, we are not done beating up on Pleasant Street. Last year, the Public Works replaced half of the water main in that street. We are planning on the second half this year.
Okay.
The gas company unfortunately divided Pleasant Street into 3 segments. They completed 1, and they have 2 to go, and we're working with them to try to get them to do their 2 this year, so that hopefully this would be the final year of work. But I don't have confirmation yet that they can do that.
Would it be possible to put down like a real thin, just a sort of a temporary asphalt layer just to smooth it out? It's kind of rough.
Could you paper over it, Mr. Rademacher?
It is rough. We are looking into that possibility.
Okay. How about Park Ave from the water tower down to Route 2?
Mr. Rademacher, is there
Are we going to
plans
do anything with
for-
that? That's kind of rough too.
for those roadways?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood the
Park
Are
Ave
you
from
talking
the,
about, Mr. Tremblay, you asking, are there plans for kind of resurfacing those roadways?
Park Ave from the water tower down is not as in tough shape as Pleasant Street.
well, I mean, out to Route 2.
Out to Route 2, that is not in a plan currently, no.
Okay. So that's not something we're going to consider, because that's kind of rough too.
Mr. Rademacher?
There's a couple of
I don't know if
park.
that was a question or just a statement.
Well, I guess I'm trying to see what the plans are here, and if that's something that the town would entertain, is to do something about the road surface on Park Ave from the water tower down to Route 2, since there's, somehow I managed to hit the same potholes with my wife's car frequently, and it's rather jarring.
Was there a question on that, or just?
Yes, is that something that the town would entertain doing, is just putting a thin, if it's a thin coat of asphalt just to restore the surface?
I think we got the answer to that there weren't plans for those specific roadways. Mr. Rademacher, anything to add to that?
Only that we do evaluate roads, we rank them, we try to prioritize based on utility work and other factors. I will look back into where that section may fall in our plans and get back to you.
And we're over time now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Next up, we have Mr. Jameson, followed by Mr. Wagner. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize they removed one of the entries. Yes, Mr. Moore, sorry. Go ahead. And then Mr. Jameson, my apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Steve Moore, Precinct 18. Mr. Tremblay has inspired me. I have a SALT question for Mr. Rademacher. Could I ask it through you, Mr. Moderator?
Yes, what is your question?
I'm wondering if the new DPW facility is allowing for the more efficient cleaning of all of the salting trucks that the town owns that's out there. And if so, is that going to help preserve those trucks for longer service life?
Mr. Rademacher, did you hear the question? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Rademacher, Director of Public Works. Yes, our new facility does have a vehicle wash bay, and yes, we do expect that it will extend the lives of the vehicles used in the winter and all the vehicles that we're able to keep better cleaned.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you. Mr. Ormont, don't go away, though. Question for you. Mr. Moderator, I have a question that's just the reason I'm up here.
Yep, please.
Really, is that when new parks are added to the town, such as Hills Hill, that sort of thing, what is the DPW process for adding to the inventory of the work that has to be done by the DPW to maintain those sorts of areas that are not covered by the enterprise funds?
Mr. Rademacher, do you catch the question?
I'm
When new
afraid-
parks come online, what's the process for kind of servicing them through the DPW?
We work with the Park and Rec Commission and Department when they're planning these. I'm not sure, are we referring to the bike
Yes.
facility?
Mr. Moderator, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so we haven't actually been asked to do any maintenance there. It's my understanding that they're going to kind of try to maintain some of that volunteer help. So that hasn't really played into our workload as of yet.
Okay, Mr. Moderator, I'm wondering if during the planning phase, how specific do we get in terms of maintenance costs? Basically, my thrust here is I'm wondering how much we plan for maintenance when we add to inventories of the areas that need to be maintained, such as parkland.
Right, so Mr. Rademacher, the sort of planning that I think Mr. Moore is referring to, is that within the scope of what the DPW does, or is that some other entity?
The thank you, Mr. Moderator, Mike Rademacher, Public Works. The DPW is responsible for maintenance of parks, and we are aware of when new parks are brought online. I don't believe we've added a significant inventory of new parks. We've renovated many, which helps with the maintenance. So I'm not overly concerned about additional maintenance until those parks become aged, and then maybe it'll be a problem at that point. But currently, it's not a concern.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'll finish up here. The issue that came up to do with Hills Hill, which is a new park in town with a hole that got dug to support trail development or some such, I think we're going to need to start budgeting for maintenance of areas like that get heavy degrading kind of use. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ormont.
Thank you. Mr. Jameson's next, followed by Mr. Wagner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Gordon Jameson, Precinct 12. Just a quick comment and then a couple questions. The DPW budget, together with the water and sewer budget, is the second largest budget combination in this town. Mr. Rademacher has a huge task that he manages expertly, in my thoughts. Over the winter, it's snow and ice. As spring came, I enjoyed having the street sweeper come by my home. The parks are being mowed. The one in front of my house, the sweeping, and one behind my house, the mowing. I was driving around town, and the tree warden and his team were planting new trees. Obviously, the DPW also manages the collection of trash. This is a huge responsibility, and we have a great team with Mr. Rademacher and his staff. I have only three short questions. The sweeping is in the spring and the fall traditionally, and sometimes I think on major roadways. Summer one, would that be possible, Mr. Rademacher, or Mr. Moderator?
Mr. Rademacher, and can you repeat the question while he comes to the microphone? Mr. Jameson?
It occurred to me, Mr. Moderator, that, well, we have standard street sweeping in the spring and the fall, and perhaps on major roadways in the interim, that might we have one, enable one in the summer, midway through those seasons.
Mr. Rodman, can we add that in the summer?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Just for clarification, is the question if we can add a town-wide sweep or any sweeping in the middle of the summer?
Townwide would be my thought, but if you have a different proposal, I'd love to hear that too.
We do sweep the mains in town every Thursday night throughout the entire season. Okay. So it's a spring sweep to clean up after the winter activities. In the summer, we maintain Mass Ave, Broadway, some of the main roadways.
Eastern and things.
Every week. And then in the fall, to help with leaf litter.
Thank you. Mr. Tremblay and you discussed snow and ice and salt and everything. Were we able to facilitate all the work we did in that regard this year with the budget that was proposed, or did we have to go into deficit this year?
Mr. Rademacher?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Rademacher, Director of Public Works. We did exceed our snow and ice budget considerably.
Did we go over it?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason I asked the question is that the budget here does not show anything in snow and ice.
Yeah,
I believe if I looked at it correctly.
Ms. Deschler, can you answer that?
Christine Deschler, Chair of the Finance Committee. What you have before you is next year's budget.
Okay.
So, and we have yet to figure out where we're going to come up with the money for the overage in snow and ice. We will have to transfer money between departments and maybe have to use the reserve fund if that's insufficient.
Thank you for correcting my error there. And last way, Mr. Tremblay, I think someone talked about roadways, and Mr. Tremblay did too. I will reiterate that. It seems to me that the major focus could be on the major grid, making sure those roads are smooth. I reiterate Park Circle to Route 2, which I think I did last year. The intersection of Jason Mill and Mass Ave would be nice to just do that section. Pleasant, you explained expertly what's happening there and why there's a delay. Summer behind the DPW and Arlington High School, if possible. And it would be a disservice to my constituents in Precinct 12. And yes, I do live on Situate, but it's an interesting street. We are at the border of the snow and ice districts. And so the plows go down our street twice for every snow we have. And that, with it also being a pass-through, have deteriorated that road more extensively than the surrounding streets that were all repaved right after I moved here about 24 years ago. So again, I ask, as I did last year, to look at perhaps possibility of chip sealing.
Okay.
Thank you.
That sounded like a suggestion.
I just,
Okay. If you don't mind, a lot of those areas that you described are on a plan to be paved, so we are working on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. And before we take Mr. Wagner, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. In case you're wondering if you're new to budget debates at town meeting, if someone at some point, I'm not suggesting this, not encouraging anything, if someone does make a motion to terminate debate, I will not entertain a motion to terminate debate on all the budgets because they were held, the intention has been expressed, but you can move to terminate debate on a particular budget and then we'll move on to the next one. You might also be wondering, can someone show up multiple times across multiple budgets? And the answer is yes, because in the town bylaws it specifies someone can speak, the speaking time, the speaking requirements are per subject, which is usually the entire article, but in this case, the subject is a particular individual budget. So hopefully that's clear now. Mr. Wagner, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Carl Wagner, Precinct 15. a friend of mine who used to live on Pleasant Street was on it at Christmas time and said there should be a budget line in the DPW for renaming Pleasant to Unpleasant Street, unfortunately. But I actually would like to say thank you to the DPW for the work that the instant pothole filler people are doing, because while it is bumpy, it is at least not as many Mazda Miata killing or axle killing holes that are on that road and our other roads. And I would also like to suggest that we not only focus on certain roads, because my constituents have been coming to me and saying $15 million override. 50% of that's for the schools. What do the people without the schools see? They see the roads and the condition of the capital stock in Arlington. So it's really important that at least in some fashion, whether it's hole fillers or complete fixing of roads, all of our regular roads get maintained. So I thank the DPW for the unsung work of putting that little bit of black hole filler here and there, as well as eventually fixing all of our roads to good condition. And I would note for those of you out there and those watching that other towns, including the richer towns, have pretty bad roads at the moment also. I wanted to ask, though, two questions. One question is for a constituent. Can we do anything about the terrible state of private ways? I realize DPW and private ways are different, but something must be done about Cutter Hill Road. It's just terrible. So I would ask that that be considered. The specific question I would like to ask that's more in scope is, could I ask Mr. Moderator, perhaps for the for the Finance Committee or the head of Department of Public Works, can it be said now, since people might be watching on recording or live, now that we passed the override, what can we do with DPW funds that we couldn't have done without? Because some people were really upset about the override, and I think it's good that the DPW funds are available. I'd like to know, can it be said what will be done that couldn't have been done?
Well, we can ask it. So to Ms. Deschler or Mr. Rademacher, whoever wants to run to a microphone first, what's in the 2027 budget that would not be able to be there if the
Roughly speaking, you know, just so people who are watching tonight or listening in this audience get a sense of what we're doing for ourselves in that money that we've spent.
Okay. So we'll take the question quickly. Mr. Cunningham first. We'll take Mr. Cunningham first on private ways, if you can be quick about that. And then Ms. Deschler or Mr. Feeney can sort out who's going to answer the second question. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Cunningham, Town Council, and thank you, Mr. Wagner, for your question from your constituent. Unfortunately, the DPW is unable to use those funds for the repair of private ways absent an emergency. There are some certain limited circumstances where that could occur. Certainly, those residents could avail themselves of the private way betterment process contained in the bylaw. I would encourage them to take a look at that, and if, to the extent that they need assistance, happy to help.
Thank you. And Ms. Deschler, or
thank you,
or Mr. Feeney.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Jim Feeney, Town Manager. We'll just note the operating override passed in March did not introduce any earmarks for the Public Works budget, so no increased spending. However, it did allow us to maintain existing funding levels and not have to decrease any money set aside for accessibility improvements, mobility improvements, roadway repair, sidewalk, curb ramp. So it allowed us to keep all of those accounts at the level they have been at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Let's see, we'll take Mr. Beck next, and then Mr. Lamani, followed by Ms. Babiars.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Fatan Limani, Precinct 15. Can the town explain what is driving the recent increase in waste hauling costs, and whether this reflects a one-time contract adjustment or an ongoing trend?
Sorry, can you step like a few inches away from the microphone? It's pretty loud.
Sorry. And given that, what strategies are being considered to manage or mitigate the costs over the long term?
Actually, I didn't hear all the. Mr. Rademacher, did you hear the question? Mr. Lamani, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, the question is what's driving the increase in the waste hauling costs, and whether this reflects a one-time contract adjustment or an ongoing trend.
So I think the question is what's driving the increase in the waste hauling costs, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Mr. Rademacher?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Rademacher, Director of Public Works. This year is the first year of a new 5-year contract that was bid out competitively. So we did see a jump in price from the previous contract to this current contract. I should note, though, that when we did bid the contract, we bid it in a manner to provide similar services as we were in previous years and compare that to what it would cost to the services that we do provide, the automated collection. The contract we chose was going to save the town $10 million over a 5-year period. So while we have seen a jump in the annual costs, we did look to make it as financially acceptable as possible for the community.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, I also want to second Mr. Wagner on private roads. To me, it's a little bit vague, this issue of private roads, but I see that, for example, in my precinct, in Precinct 15, we both from the same precinct, there are many private roads, and a lot of residents live in the private roads. And to me, it's interesting situation because we all pay taxes equally to others who don't live in the private roads, but we still don't get the same services, which is kind of strange to me. I don't know why is this done, but
I'll just interrupt there. So I think Mr. Cunningham covered that. Is there anything that was not covered in anything that?
Yeah, to me, it's like, is there a process where maybe this is kind of, is there a process that we can start maybe to include these private roads in the regular town budget maintenance?
Yeah, so Mr. Cunningham, is this an issue of state law? Is that the remedy if we were motivated to use town funds for repairing private ways, or?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Cunningham, Town Council. It's an issue of both state and local law. There is a process by which local roadways can go through acceptance and become an official town street that would be subject to further town services. I appreciate the frustration of residents in your precinct who live on private roads, and they aren't afforded the same types of services, but that's a consequence of how those roads were established and how they existed for a long time. Arlington, I guess fortunately, more so than other communities, has a lot of private roads. So there are a lot of residents in that position.
Who can initiate that process? Can we as a town meeting members or residents, or who has the legal right to initiate the process with the town and the state?
Okay, so I'm gonna stop the discussion on this topic there because it sounds like there is a process, but like the process would be out of scope of the budgets because the budget can't address that right now. If there was, I don't know if it's home rule legislation, I'm just kind of making that up, or something. It's like that would be another town meeting and another debate.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Babiars, followed by Mr. Hamlin.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Joe Babiars, Precinct 15. I'm going back to snow and ice. I know the weather is unpredictable. Our daughter in Denver had a snow day today because they had 6 inches of snow in Colorado. My constituents in 15 have complained about the quality of the contractors doing the plowing. They complain that there are gouges in the road, that the manholes or various other plugs are being pulled up, and that large piles of, particularly for people in the precinct who live on corners, there are large piles of snow that are just pushed up. And this is particularly difficult because Bishop School is right in the path of these corners. Is there any remedy that the town can exert on the contractors to repair this, or is it going to be the town's responsibility?
Mr. Feeney or Mr. Rademacher, the contractors, when they're plowing, there's gouges in roads. The speaker says manholes pulled up, large piles of snow at corners, hurts visibility. Is there anything the town can do about this, specifically Department of Public Works?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mike Rademacher, Director of Public Works. So we do actively monitor the work of contractors during a storm, but as you can imagine, some storms are tough to be on top of these folks at every minute of every hour. We do make an effort after storms to clean these areas. We have several days and nights of cleanup, especially around the schools, to remove snow from intersections, crosswalks, to make getting to school palatable. It does take time. We are a limited workforce. So we do try to address that in a timely fashion. And as far as damage to roads, if it's something negligent, we would pursue the contractor for that repair or cost. If it's essentially a result of plowing, if a road has a lip in it that gets caught by a plow, that's not something that we can hold the contractor responsible for, and the town will repair that. So sometimes manholes stick up a little bit, and a plow blade might catch that. Sometimes that's unavoidable, and Public Works would be responsible for fixing that.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have a contractor specifically, but I'd like to do that offline with Mr. Redemacher if I can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Mr. Tosti, followed by Matthew Miller.
Al Tosti, Precinct 17. I move the previous question on the Public Works budget.
Okay, we have a motion to terminate debate on the Public Works budget, and we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate on the Public Works budget, say yay. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. It is a strong 2/3 vote. That takes us now to the number 19 Police Services budget. Mr. Ezra Fisher, want to lead us? Let's clear the speaker queue. And then while Mr. Fisher is speaking, okay, speaker queue is now clear. As Mr. Fisher is speaking, we'll take requests. If there's a lot of requests, we'll sort them randomly. Mr. Fisher, you have the floor.
Ezra Fisher, Precinct 4. The police budget for overtime has remained fairly steady for this and the past 4 years in the mid-600,000s. In 2027, this is roughly 8% of all police salaries, or the equivalent of an additional 7 patrol officers or 8.5 more social workers. Especially given the budget pressure on town government, as well as the numerous examples of police overtime fraud, not in Arlington, but elsewhere. Why would we continue to plan for and use overtime this way, and what steps is the town taking to reduce overtime in the future?
Okay. Chief Flaherty, do you have or Mr. Feening? Who may have a quick consultation? And the question is roughly like why are we using police overtime the way that we do?
Good evening, Julie Flaherty, Chief of Police. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I couldn't hear it back there.
Oh, no problem. I think I've asked this before, but basically overtime is generally flat year over year. And I'm just wondering, given budget pressures, why we're not using that money more efficiently, either to hire more patrol officers or social workers, or to do something else to reduce overtime.
Yeah.
Chief
So in the
Flaherty?
past couple of years, we've been short-staffed. We've been able to build our personnel back up. We currently only have 2 openings, and that will alleviate a lot of our overtime budget going into the next fiscal year.
Okay, so I'm not, okay, thank you.
We had several vacancies
Yeah.
that have been filled over the past couple of years.
Does that account for the $600,000 in there?
Close
Chief
to
Flaherty,
it.
does it account for the $600,000?
All right, thank you. According to statistics on the police department webpage, excluding motor vehicle citations in 2025 and 26 to date, it looks like 42% of police interactions fall under the categories of mental health or substance abuse. If you include disturbances, that percentage goes up to 70%. Yet we only have a single social worker full-time equivalent paid 75% by police department, 25% through human services. I think we also contract with the Edinburgh Center for some social workers to train or support APD. What is the town's plan to shift more budget towards personnel who specialize in mental health and substance abuse and away from patrol officers? And if there's no plan, why not?
Chief Flaherty?
So we currently have one full-time clinician that we contract through the Edinburgh Center and an additional part-time clinician, as well as a part-time recovery coach that are embedded within the police department. I don't know what the plan is to bring on more social workers at this time for the town.
Okay, thank you. Last month, I think probably some of us saw this in the local news, but last month, Citizens for Juvenile Justice put out a report on local law enforcement, what they call collusion with ICE in Massachusetts. Many of you, in it, they characterize Arlington Police Department as having policies that, quote, allow collaboration and/or information sharing with ICE. I believe that that is not the intent of APD, and nor does it reflect the values of the town. But looking at the policies, I see three key loopholes. First is just that the policy says it does not preclude the department from assisting federal immigration officials when requested. It also, ICE runs a call center called the Law Enforcement Support Center, which takes queries from local police officers. And our policies don't prevent officers from doing this on their own. And then perhaps most importantly, our policy calls for all arrestees brought to Arlington Police Headquarters to be fingerprinted. And this exceeds state law, which requires that arrestees be fingerprinted only if arrested for felonies under Chapter 263, which I understand to be non-drug related felonies. People arrested for felonies under Chapter 94C, which are drug-related felonies or misdemeanors, don't need to be fingerprinted under state law. And this is important because all fingerprints from felony arrests must be transmitted to a state agency that then transmits the data to an FBI database, which ICE has access to. So for each of these three loopholes, allowing officers to assist federal immigration officials when requested, the fingerprinting policy, and the actions of individual officers in proactively consulting ICE, could a representative of the town confirm that what I have said is correct and either commit to revising policies to close the loopholes before next year's town meeting, or say why not?
So Chief Flaherty, can you respond to the reported loopholes in APD policies that reportedly don't preclude department staff from cooperating with federal immigration enforcement?
So our policy is clear that Arlington police officers are law enforcement officers. We do not cooperate with ICE. I've said that in past town meetings, and I've made it very clear in our policy. As far as fingerprints, it is a policy of the Arlington Police Department to fingerprint everyone who is taken into custody. And is the third point that you made, I'm not familiar with the article that you referenced, but the third part about police officers contacting, what was it?
There's like an ICE hotline.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. As I've said in past years, I'm not encouraging us to vote against the entire budget package to address these concerns, but I would like to see the police budget split out in future years. It accounts for about 25% of town department budgets and is the department most subject to a healthy and reasonable funding debate at a national, state, and town level. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so that was our first speaker on this budget, and we have several speakers. So as I said, let's go ahead and shuffle those. Okay, and the winner of the lottery is Ms. Garber, followed by Mr. Greenspan.
Judith Garber, Precinct 4. I just have one question in the positions reclassification. There's going to be a new position called Police Records and Social Media Coordinator in the police department, and I was wondering what that position, what that role entails.
Is this from the positions reclassification article, or is this from the APD budget?
Both, I assume.
Let's see. Can someone answer why there's a reclassification of police records and social media coordinator within the police budget? Chief Flaherty? Or Ms. Malloy?
Oh, sorry. They told me that the best microphone was in the middle, so I was automatically going there. Good evening, I'm Karen Malloy, I'm the Director of Human Resources. That is a new job title for a person who currently works for us. She does social media work. We just changed the title. The salary has been increased slightly to reflect the complexity of the duties that she has, but it's a person that already works for the town who does social media work for the department.
And they do social media just for the APD?
That's correct.
And it's, okay, and if there's a full-time position to just do social media for APD, and there's also, is there another element that's police record related?
That is right, yes, she still has police record duties associated with her position.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I guess I was asking about this because I'm curious as to why there's going to be a full-time person mostly just doing social media for one department, but maybe I'm misunderstanding how much work it is to do that. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Greenspan, followed by Mr. Wagner. Mr. Wagner. Followed by Ms. Band.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Carl Wagner, Precinct 15. I don't know if others have noticed the thickly settled reduction speed limits that have been put through Arlington. Many of them are great, but I wondered if the police have any sense of how much time or money on time they've had to spend for some of the crazy ones, like Mystic Street, Route 3, where we went from 35 miles an hour, and it's clearly not thickly settled, down to 25, and there usually has to be a police officer in a cruiser there. Are we spending a lot of money on basically either giving warnings or speeding tickets for these drastic reductions?
Is your question, is the town receiving money from
I'd like to know
tickets,
if we're having to send details or whatever you call an individual officer sitting in a cruiser to give a warning or a ticket.
Oh, okay.
On
Like the cost of having
specifically
officers
like
there
Route 3.
to police that. Can someone speak to whether the newly installed thickly settled reduced speed signs are costing the town in terms of officers sitting in cars to patrol the lower speed limits, especially in areas where it's reduced by, say, 10 miles an hour? Chief Flaherty?
Yes, Julie Flaherty, Chief of Police. So the officers that are assigned to traffic duties include officers in patrol in our sectors and our newly formed traffic unit, and it's part of their regular duties to provide education and enforcement to motorists. We also receive several different grants throughout the year to provide education and enforcement for traffic safety.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief. You may not be the person who I could ask this question to, but Mr. Moderator, if a person or people felt that a reduction was inappropriate, is there any way that they could petition it in the case, for example, of Route 3?
I think Mr. Hurd is eager to answer that question.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. John Hurd, Chair of the Select Board. So any changes to the roadways would come by a request to the Select Board.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Take Ms. Band next, followed by Mr. Tosti.
Carol Band, Precinct 8. I had a question about the decrease in funding for the Minuteman Bikeway Patrol.
Okay. Like an open-ended question? Like, why is it
Well, yeah, why
reduced?
was it decreased? It seems to me that when I use the bikeway now, I know there's been a lot more electric bikes, and the differentiation between electric bikes and motorcycles is getting more blurred, and I'm just thinking that there should be more patrolling of the bike trail now than less.
Let's see, does anyone up here have an answer to why there's decreased funding for the Minuteman Bikeway and like patrol in the APD budget? Mr. Feeney?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you for that question. That is an expense line that was reduced based on historical spending, but as you'll see, we did leave, I believe, roughly $10,000 or $11,000 in that account, so we still have a general fund appropriation to do so, but we also fund some of that work through alternative grants, so we do have another source of funding
Okay,
for it.
and is there somebody who's stopping motor vehicles from using the bikeway?
Mr. Feeney?
We do have bicycle officers when they're assigned to the Minuteman do exactly that.
And this is just a personal question. How do we determine what is a motorized vehicle now?
Like an e-bike, for instance, is that?
Right, as opposed to an e-bike.
Yeah.
Because some of them are pretty darn motorcycle-y.
Agreed, and I can't say I'm expert enough to answer that on my feet, though I do know the state continues to contemplate legislation that will help police departments and municipalities define and categorize those motor vehicles by different classes based on their speeds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tosti? Pi Fisher from Satellite Room?
Several years ago, we passed an allocation to support body camera use by the police department, and we agreed as a town meeting to fund the ongoing server costs for that. I don't see that in the budgets yet. What is the current state of body camera use by the Arlington Police Department?
Chief Flaherty, can you answer what the current use of body cameras by the APD is, like a status of that?
Julie Flaherty, Chief of Police. There's been an agreement reached with both of our unions, our ranking officers union and our patrol officers union, and the plan is to roll out our body-worn camera program on or about July 1st. I am in discussions with our vendor, Axon, who is reworking our contract as we weren't able to we signed on with them and we weren't able to roll out the program at the time of signing on. So the hope is to have it rolled out sometime this summer. I know I'm looking forward to it, our officers are looking forward to it, and we'll have updates through social media sites as we roll out this program.
Mr. Moderator, I apologize. Pi Fisher, Precinct 6. Also, could you clarify how much do we expect the servers to cost, or is that still completely unknown?
Chief Flaherty, do you know how much that would cost?
Julie Flaherty, Chief of Police. It's roughly $100,000 per year for the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Gast, followed by Mr. Siano.
Peter Gast, I propose we call the question. I call the question for this budget.
Okay, so we have a motion to terminate debate of the police services budget, and we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate of the police services budget, say yay. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. Nay. Debate is terminated. And that takes us now to budget number 20, fire services. Mr. Jameson, do you want to lead us off? Pass. Okay, can we clear the speaker queue, please? So if you just clicked a moment ago and you wanted to speak on the fire services budget, please request to speak again. Just give that a few seconds if anyone wants to speak on the fire services budget. Seeing none, it is 9:24. Let's take a 10-minute break and then we'll pick up with the inspections budget. Okay, 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to get started here. Okay, we are back in session, and we are now taking up, once I get my reading glasses on, there we go. We are taking up the inspections budget, number 21, and Austin Brown will be leading off. So, Mr. Brown, if you come up to the mic, and let's clear the speaker queue for the inspections budget. And if there's more than 5 speakers, I'll shuffle it at the end of Mr. Brown's speaking time. Mr. Brown, go ahead.
All right, Austin Brown, Precinct 6. I hate public speaking, but here we go. All right, As we all know, there is a huge amount of major new development in town, either currently going on or proposed for the near future. Additionally, many of the proposed buildings are complex, 5 or more story buildings, which I'm sure have very complex structural and electrical needs. My personal experience, many developers will cut a lot of corners to cut costs, speed construction, and maximize profits. Therefore, having a strong inspectional services department is absolutely critical for the long-term safety of our town. Mr. Moderator, I want to make sure that this current inspectional services budget is enough to oversee all the new development and ensure that all new buildings adhere to both local and state building codes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? It's hard. It's a little bit hard to hear because there was still some. Can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure that our inspectional services budget is enough to have an inspectional services department which feels that it's adequate to oversee all the new development in our town.
Got it. Do we have someone, Mr. Champa, for instance, who might be able to answer whether we have a sufficient budget for inspectional services to have inspection services given the increased development? Mr. Champa?
Sorry, Mike Champa, Director of Inspectional Services. Could you just repeat the question?
Sure. I just want to, basically there's a huge amount of development in the town, and I'm sure that that huge amount of development is it's going to keep going, right? And I just want to make sure that the inspectional services budget, in your opinion, is enough to have a big enough inspectional services department to oversee that.
Sure. So a lot of the new projects are bigger projects, MBTA community projects, 40Bs, et cetera. And all of those projects are construction control, so they're under the control of engineers, et cetera. There's a lot more inspections done on their end on a daily, weekly basis, affidavits, reports submitted to us. So there isn't as much work added because of the larger projects as one might expect.
Interesting. So is there anybody from the town that's overseeing these, or, you know?
Yeah, we still do our own inspections. We don't waive our right to do our own inspections, but on a regular basis, there are engineers on site doing inspections for concrete pours, rebar, et cetera. And all of those reports are sent to us.
Cool. All right, thanks.
Thank you. We'll take Mr. Holman next.
Aram Holman, Precinct 6. A question which bears on the budget. I'm wondering if somebody from Inspectional Services could clarify what is their responsibility for inspection versus other organizations in the permitting process, for instance, the ARB. In other words, what do they have to do, and that bears on the budget?
So who else other than inspectional services does inspectional work? Is that the question?
What is the scope of inspectional services?
Okay, Mr. Champa, can you answer? What is the scope of inspectional services?
Mike Champa, Director of Inspectional Services. Our office does plan review, permit issuance, inspections for ongoing construction projects. We enforce the zoning bylaws, town bylaws, all of the state building codes.
Who handles disability access issues?
So we do.
I'm sorry, what access issues, Mr. Holman?
Disability access issues, making sure, specifically, making sure when a building is designed, it meets the ADA and Americans with Disability Act and other codes.
So,
Mr. Champa, disability access is.
Mike Champa, Director of Inspectional Services. The ADA regulations are not under our jurisdiction. Although we do enforce the Architectural Access Board regulations, and we do the review to ensure that those regulations, that the project submittals are compliant with those regulations.
Another question, how about fire access and egress regulations? For example, the specification that different means of egress have to be separated by a certain minimum distance. Who would be responsible for that?
That would be our office as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So just a reminder, because we had fewer than 5 speakers at the time that the first speaker completed his speaking time, I did not shuffle them, so we're just going to take these in order and continue to take them in order. Mr. Andrew Fisher, followed by Mr. Slotnick.
Andrew Fisher, Precinct 6. I'd like to ask this because it was received a fair amount of commentary during our precinct meeting, Precinct 6. And I wanted to, Mr. Moderator, would you ask someone to explain what's going on at the corner of, across from the Capitol Theater, where there's a foundation hole? Everybody wants to know what's going on there. I admit I already talked with, but it's just interesting and quite informative.
I'm sorry, what's going on the corner across from the Capitol Theater?
The construction got stopped after the hole was dug, the floor and everything got knocked down. It's a big construction job. Pardon me?
200 Mass Ave, I'm told.
Yeah, and also there's 2 tiers of construction that Mr. Chiappa referred to. I have a builder's license for buildings under 35,000 cubic feet. That's cubic feet. You do not want the likes of me running these jobs. And I mean, you even have to have a different personality, trust me. So I don't think that was quite clearly made.
So, Mr. Fisher, is your question, like, is inspectional services doing any work yet, inspectional work on the construction, on the site where there's construction on the corner across from the Capitol Theater? Is that your question? Why the job is stopped? So, okay. Say, Mr. Feeney or Mr. Ciampa, if there is a stoppage of work on that construction site, is this related to inspections, is my first question.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Jim Feeney, Town Manager. The lack of work at that site is not the result of a stop work order from inspectional services. As I understand it, their design team is working through some revisions to their plans based on some site conditions they found once they excavated the existing foundation, and some conflicts occurred.
Okay, unrelated to inspections then, so. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Okay. And so next we have Mr. Slotnick, followed by Mr. Greenspan.
Larry Slotnick, Precinct 7. I'm following a little bit on what Aram Holloman asked about, and it's if the ARB makes a final decision approving a project with findings or requests that are kind of written into their decision. Let's say it's a building that might have a commercial space that would host a food service business, and they request ventilation that will go up through the roof, or a certain amount of electrical service. Are all those things written into the documents so that inspectional services can make sure that those features are actually built by the contractor?
Director Ricker, so when the ARB makes a final decision for a project, is there anything documented that is then passed along to inspectional services, I think is the question?
Sure. I'm Claire Ricker. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development. Conditions are written into the final decision, which is filed with the clerk's office, and the conditions are 100% enforceable at the time the decision becomes final.
Okay, so just to be clear, inspectional services will know to make sure that those features are built into the project?
Director Ciampa or Director Ricker?
Mike Ciampa, Director of Inspectional Services. So now that we have OpenGov online permitting, we are able to pull people into the workflow of the permit applications, and Planning and Community Development is part of that workflow, and they actually do review on the plans that are submitted to us, inspections during and after the project to ensure that all of the conditions of the redevelopment board's approvals are met.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Greenspan next, followed past Mr. Fleming. Mr. Fleming, followed by Pi Fisher from the satellite room.
James Fleming, Precinct 4. Mr. Moderator, I had a question. We tend to get a bunch of zoning bylaw changes on the warrant every year, and my question was, is there a significant part of the inspectional budget that goes towards things like training to learn how to enforce the new provisions?
Director Champa, given the zoning bylaw changes at town meeting each year, is there any education that's done for the folks at inspectional services, I guess, to be kind of up to date on the changes to the zoning bylaw?
I'm sorry, Mike Champa, Director of Inspectional Services. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, so I think the question is, given zoning bylaw changes that are passed by town meeting each year, I guess the broader question is there a process by which folks at inspectional services stay kind of abreast of those changes and up to date in their application of their inspections, given zoning changes each year, since it's a moving target, right?
I'm not even sure. Did you?
Mr. Feeney?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Jim Feeney, Town Manager. So inspectional services is notified once a zoning bylaw is formally passed, like when we get it back from the Attorney General's office. I wouldn't say there's anyone we can go to that can specifically train Arlington on our new zoning bylaw, so it sort of relies on staff and inspectional services, planning and community development, legal, oftentimes as well as the town manager's office to say, okay, here's this new change, and how are we going to implement it? But I don't think there's anywhere we could go to have someone train us on that.
I guess the broader question is, does it cost us a lot of money to make bylaw changes in zoning? Because ISD is the enforcer of the zoning bylaw.
Yeah, so Mr. Feeney, does it cost us much in the inspections budget when we have zoning changes affected by town meeting?
Jim Feeney, Town Manager. To date, at least during my tenure, we have not had to increase the inspections budget as it related to zoning bylaw changes that have been passed by this body.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Pi Fisher next, followed by Mr. Tosti. So, satellite room, yeah.
Hi, Fisher, Precinct 6. I move the previous question on the budget for inspectional services.
Okay, we have a motion to terminate debate on the inspections budget, and we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate on the inspections budget, say yay. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. It is a 2/3 vote. That takes us now to number 22, the education budget. I know that Dr. Homan has a presentation on the Arlington Public Schools budget, so we'll start with Dr. Homan. Let's clear the speaker queue before she begins. Okay, speaker queue is clear, and we'll start with Mr. Wagner. Whether you click in or not, we'll start with you, and then anyone else, he's already there, can request to speak. Dr. Homan? What's that? Yes, the speaker queue is now open for the education budget. And if we get more than 5 speakers after Dr. Homan is done presenting, I will shuffle the speaker queue. If there's 5 or fewer, then we'll just go in order. Dr. Homan, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm wondering if I may request permission for a 10-minute presentation?
Okay, we have a request for a 10-minute presentation. We have a second. Do we have all those in favor of allowing 10 minutes of speaking time instead of the default 7? All those in favor say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. It is a unanimous vote. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and good evening, town meeting members. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Homan, and it is my pleasure to be here tonight to present on behalf of the Arlington School Committee their FY27 proposed budget to town meeting. I am presenting tonight with Mr. Christopher Schweitzer, who joined Arlington in November as our Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations. Following his arrival, Chris subsequently endured what I think might be the most rigorous onboarding experience of a CFO in the state of Massachusetts this year. However, I suppose it's possible there was a tie for that honor with the incomparable Julie Wayman. Next slide. I want to begin by sharing the priorities that served as our guide for designing and implementing this year's budget process, which I'm sure all of you know featured the development of 2 budgets for FY27, one that we planned to implement if the override passed and one had it not. Our goals in this uncertain landscape were first to ensure that the difficult decisions would be centered on our values and to gather as much stakeholder input as we could and as we considered reductions. We held focus groups, interviews, and forums and visited many PTO meetings to inform families about the budgetary considerations and to gather their input. Our primary objective this year was to build a budget that we felt confident allocated resources in ways we could sustain in the long term. As the town manager noted, this included agreeing to a 4% increase for the duration of the override period, which is a reduction for the schools. We feel the 4% is possible because we anticipate an increase in retirements and a decrease in enrollment of approximately one section per year during the override period. It's worth noting, however, that expenses that are regulatorily and contractually required have been going up at a rate far greater than 4% for us, for other school districts, and for our town colleagues. The next several years, therefore, will require austerity, and so this year's budget features $1.8 million in staffing reductions, and we are constantly identifying places where we can further reduce cost. Next slide. On a slightly more optimistic note, I would like to take a moment to share some major wins for the Arlington Public Schools. On this slide are two charts showing Arlington's academic outcomes relative to other districts identified by the state as economically and demographically similar to Arlington. There are several Town Manager 12 districts included, but there are also other districts based on current demographic and economic contexts. These graphs show Arlington as the red star and shows the percent of students in literacy on the left and math on the right who met or exceeded grade level standards on MCAS in 2024, which is the most recent date available to compare against economic metrics. The higher on the graph, the dot or star, the better the students from that community performed. When we compare ourselves to similar districts, the data tell us we're doing quite well, and this is from 2024. In 2025, Arlington was honored by the Commissioner and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education as the largest district in the state to meet and exceed pre-pandemic outcomes in both math and literacy. That is a high honor, and we're very proud of the efforts that we have undertaken to make it possible. Next slide. But here's the real headline. Not only are we offering an excellent education in Arlington, but we are offering it at a spectacular value to residents. This graph shows the same district's per pupil expenditure in 2024, the same year as the outcomes on the previous slide. The purple dots are districts that spend less per pupil than Arlington in FY24, and in green are the districts that spent more. In a year when Arlington was amongst the highest achieving districts compared to our similar comps, we were also among the least expensive. In other words, APS is offering an excellent education for a fraction of the cost. And I offer this as evidence that APS understands the constraints families are facing financially. We do not spend or ask for money lightly, and we are strategic about putting resources where they will have the greatest positive impact on student learning. And the data confirm that we're on the right track. Next slide, please. One of the things we watch carefully in the schools to support our efforts are our student enrollments. This graph shows how several enrollment projections gathered over the past decade have differed from real enrollments, which are the line in blue on this slide. Note for FY26, which is the dot sort of right in the center of that graph, the year that we are currently in, our most recent projections undershot actual enrollment of the school system. We have had more students every year since the pandemic, and only this school year did enrollments begin to level off, even though projections told us they would much sooner. Next slide, please. You might be wondering why enrollments have not tracked with projections. One of the reasons has to do with secondary and elementary trends. This graph shows elementary and secondary enrollment since 2016 and demonstrates why resources over the past several years have shifted from the elementary level to the secondary level, with secondary increases significantly outpacing elementary decline. Next slide, please. When we examine the proportion of resident families who are sending their students to the Arlington Public Schools, there's been a 6% increase to Arlington resident enrollment over the past 2 years. When in 2018, what that means is in 2018, 86.6% of residents sent their school-age children to APS before the pandemic. Today, 94% of residents with school-age children send their school-age children to us. We believe this trend can be attributed to multiple factors, and we're very proud to welcome more of Arlington's children to our schools each year. Next slide, please. But it is worth noting that in the years since the pandemic, our population has changed. It has become more diverse across several categories. The percentage of students considered high needs, it's an aggregate measure that includes students in multiple groups that often require unique resources, has gone up by 3% since 2020. And that might not seem like much, but a 3% change in enrollment for us is 180 students, and so that's 180 additional students with potentially significant need. And we've also seen a 3% increase in students from low-income households, which is a challenge that can significantly impact future opportunity and achievement for a student. Next slide. So it is in this landscape, more students, more needs, that we entered this year's budget planning knowing we needed to make significant reductions. So we wanted to be careful as we proceeded, and we established these criteria to inform decisions in partnership with the school committee and based on feedback from constituents. And these criteria guided us through the entire process. And I will now hand it off to Mr. Schweitzer to cover some of the financial details of the FY27 budget. Next slide.
FYI, we did fix that third microphone. You don't have to use it now if you don't want to, but it should work. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Chris Schweitzer, Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations. Thank you, moderator, my colleagues, and to the town meeting members for your commitment to Arlington and your involvement here today. This slide here has been utilized throughout the budget development process the past 6 months to help communicate why even in a budget increase of 4% or $4 million, there's some reductions in efficiencies distributed all throughout the district. Looking at salaries alone, a level service staff budget for next year would actually increase or exceed our allocation increase at almost $4.2 million. And operationally, as we looked at many of the lines that exceed our 4% allocation, we had to balance the budget with some of those reductions, as the superintendent said, and will be highlighted here on the next few slides. Next slide, please. This slide presents the past few years of revenue resources, all funding resources here to the school department. You can see that right-hand bracket on the far side is the school department's allocation. Due to town appropriation, it represents about 95% of the school department's operations. Grant and revolving account balances have not paced the same as operating funds, but we continue to strategically budget those funds to help assist offsetting operational expenses. Next slide, please. Here we're presenting historical high-level overview of the general fund, and it's formatted into the 6 different budgetary categories or transfer categories per school committee policy. This provides a little bit more of an understanding of how and where the district is spending and allocating its resources in key areas, and it's also a budgetary control measure from school committee, as we cannot transfer money between these categories without school committee approval. And the next slide, please. This is the budget change summary chart that has been consistently provided in budget books and presentations in the past. We refined it here in 27 to show in that middle part the projected level service contractual salaries for next year, which then looking at operational departments needs for next year, which is a net of an almost $2 million increase. You can then see that's where we then back into the net negative $1.8 million in salaries due to reductions and restructuring to help balance the budget. And now I'll hand it off to the superintendent to present more detail on those staffing and operational changes.
All right, next slide. Thank you. A few things to note about some of the reductions. I will not go over them in detail, but on this first slide, you'll notice the significant reorganization of central office roles. That effort was intended to minimize reductions in student-facing roles. So about half of the total reductions in the school department are to district-level positions in an effort to prioritize student-facing positions. You'll also notice we placed holds on vacant positions. Several of the positions that are being eliminated were vacated, and we started doing that last spring, over a year ago, because we knew that difficult budget decisions were ahead, so we started to avoid filling vacancies that were not in student-facing roles or performing a critical function. Next slide, please. It was also impossible to avoid all or any reductions to student-facing roles while maintaining as close to our current programming as possible. We do have some reductions in some areas, but they do not mean a change in services for students. Students will still have access to the same special service providers that they have had in the past. There just might be a slightly slower response time on some inquiries, particularly if they're going to the district level. Finally, at the bottom of the slide, you'll see the impact of a significant number of retirements as we head into FY27. Retirement savings totaled over $500,000 in the FY27 budget, capturing 27 staff retirements. Next slide, please.
20 seconds.
Yeah, I know. And next slide, please. I won't go over the operational ones. I want to conclude by saying a few words of gratitude to the Arlington School Committee, the Select Board, the Finance Committee, all of you and the constituents you represent. It's my job to ensure a secure future for the community in the form of well-rounded, intelligent, empowered, kind, and involved individuals. And the dedication of this community to its schools and the power and potential of public education is unparalleled. The faith the community showed by supporting the override in every single precinct was overwhelming. So I would like to thank all of you on behalf of our educators, operational staff, leaders, my colleagues here tonight, and most importantly, our brilliant students. Thank you for trusting us to make good on our promises and sending your most precious young people to us every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Homan and Mr. Schweitzer. Okay. Okay. We're going to start with Mr. Wagner, and while he walks up, we're going to hit the shuffle button as I promised, because there are more than 5 speakers. And there we go. Mr. Wagner, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Carl Wagner, Precinct 15. I think that was an excellent follow-on to the town voting yes on the override. As I walked around when I was trying to get reelected in April, and of course I was successful, a lot of people said no, no to the override. But in actual fact, the town voted by like 2-1 or 3-1. And it's very important that the school system go on and be successful. It's 50% of the money that the residents and the businesses pay in their property taxes. I wanted to ask if it's possible for the school system to say whether they can avoid being a meaningful part of another override in 3 years. It looks like from the numbers in Appendix D that there is a need for one at this point. Maybe I'm wrong. And of course, we have Proposition 2.5 in Massachusetts, but the budgets for the school system will be rising, I think, at 4, a lot better than 7 last year or whatever it was, and inflation is 3. So how can the school system both say the success of the override is great, but we will, for the people who in Arlington are hurting from $1,000 of property assessment, how can they not be part of a future override, please?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Homan, any answers to how the Arlington Public Schools and its sizable budget, or Dr. Allison Ampe, can avoid contributing significantly to the next override?
Kiersey Allison Ampe, Precinct 13 and School Committee Budget Chair. So we will continue to do everything we can to maintain as she said, austere a budget as we can. However, when you look at what the state has required for foundation budget per pupil year over year for the past 4 years, those costs have been raising at an average of 4.5%. And that's what the state is saying education is costing. We're able to manage at 4% for the next few years because we have a lot of retirements. We have an expectation of decreased enrollment. If enrollment continues to decrease and we really start coming down, then that will help a lot. The problem is that people have been very happy to move here, so I can't say for sure that that's going to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Mr. Jameson is next, followed by Ms. Dre.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Gordon Jameson, Precinct 12. I want to thank the school department and the committee for this wonderful report, and the new gentleman who's probably largely responsible for this. But I have some questions. On page 14, the total of grants and revolving, special revenue and revolving equals about $5 million and covers about 70 positions. My question is simple. Are those grants, do they have offsets for internal administrative costs plus health care and pension?
So the question is, do the grants have offsets for administrative costs? Mr. Schweitzer?
Chris Schweitzer, Assistant Superintendent. Thank you for the question, Moderator. So the funding summary chart that's being discussed here on that said page, the grants that are presented here are federal entitlement grants. On some of them, particularly on the IDEA 240, the special education, the largest grant we have there, we do have personnel on that. A majority, about 80% of that grant is personnel. Depending on who
is... If I may, the question is, sure. Is the benefits of those personnel covered by the grants? Pension and health care. Okay.
Yes. So currently we have folks on Title I in the retirements on that. If we have a grant or enterprise account, the benefits associated with that employee would be on that grant as well.
So to cut to the chase, whatever possible, the grants or revolving funds, if they have personnel, are paying for the pensions and health care costs of those individuals?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next question. The slide you had on page 18, through Mr. Moderator, what is other?
So, Mr. Schweitzer, what is other
Sure.
on page 18?
Very quick.
So other, for the most part, I'll say the biggest buckets of it would be the non-special education related transportation and facilities. Most of the academic or the core information would be there within special education or the elementary and secondary, but other, primarily the largest drivers are facilities related, and then the non-sped transportation.
Thank you. On page 56, we have our nutritional services. I assume there's some fees related to that, or even if they're paid for by the state. Same question, health care and pension for those employees covered?
Yes.
Thank you. I've done this before to the town many times, and this budget is so clear I can now do it for the schools.
Love it.
And it's very important that we do not have, that we have those things offset. Transportation, same thing. The fees, capital, page 61, are the fees covering payroll, expenses, capital, healthcare, and pension offsets.
Within that user fee?
Within, yes.
So it's not a full enterprise account, it's just an offset for some of our transportation related, so no health insurance for those employees are same as mine, it's part of the town
And
allocation.
it's covered by,
Correct.
for the town.
It's not a complete
I
enterprise.
just don't see those offsets in the insurance budget, is why I'm asking these
Sure.
questions.
Questions to me, Mr. Jameson.
Yes, Mr. Moderator, thank you very much. On page 74, there's a whole bunch of zeros. Is that just change in accounting practices?
Mr. Schweitzer, the zeros on page 74?
Very well could be. Thank you. Yep, so I'll say maybe two things, just nuance. It very well could be. It could also be due to restructuring or improvements and enhancements in our chart of accounts. So it could be creating a new sub-department, a new location, and or how we're budgeting to align with DESI's reporting.
Thank you, Mr.
So that could be
Moderator.
why there's historical zeros.
On page 85, that's the object summary.
Yes.
There's lots of abbreviations, PS, OS, CS, OTR, I think.
Yep.
Next year, a key would be wonderful.
Sure.
Mr. Schweitzer, key, yeah.
Briefly, it's contractual services, supplies and materials, and other related.
In page 97, gifted and talented math intervention and social studies, math intervention, drama, and gifted and talented are zero. Surely we still provide those services. Is that counting again?
Yes, and I think specifically on the math, that's superintendent might be able to speak more, but that's specifically on a restructuring of the math for reporting the sub-department.
I'm going to I'm going to say that on 100 and 101, and I'll send you these things, okay? Sure. That there's a whole bunch of zeros there too. I'm guessing those are accounting and restructuring. Mm-hmm. That's 10 and 11.
Dr. Homan, do you know, do you have a quick answer to that? Why there are zeros for those programs?
Right, so could you repeat the question for me?
Which one?
Whichever one you're on at the moment.
Well, the one I'm on, I'm over. Actually, your timing is impeccable. My last question is for you.
For me?
Through the moderator.
It's for him.
Mr. Moderator, I would like to know when Ms. Homan has a quiet time, either in her office or at home, what keeps her up at night? What is she most worried about?
Dr. Homan, what keeps you up related to the school budget?
Related to the school budget.
What concerns you about the school budget?
The fact that what concerns me the most about the school budget is that the state has over the past multiple decades instituted new regulations that require us to provide specific services that I agree with them we should provide to children, but they have not provided the funding that allows us to provide those services to children without continually asking taxpayers to pitch in more.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Ms. Dre, followed by Ms. DeRocher.
Elizabeth Dre, Precinct 10. I'd like to thank Dr. Homan for the presentation. Mr. Moderator, I believe Dr. Homan mentioned that there was an increase in non-native English speakers in their student population, and then I noted a cut of positions, maybe 1.6 positions if my memory serves, but it may not. And so I'm interested in learning more about Dr. Homan's thinking on that, on those two different ideas.
So the question is, there's an increase in non-English speakers, and why was there a cut in positions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Non-English speakers for the students you're referring to?
So yeah, so you're asking about multilingual learners. And our population did increase slightly. It is actually very level with where it was during the pandemic. We had increased staffing significantly shortly after the pandemic to, I think, frankly, make it more even for the students who are learning English and to be able to do more inclusion. So the reduction that is there is mostly realized by vacancies that are current vacancies. And it is still, we'll have more ML staff today, like next year, than we had in 2020. We're still able to do a lot of that inclusive practice. Some of the reason why is because the population of multilingual learners has shifted in town. It's a little more concentrated, frankly, at a couple schools, which can be helpful for neighborhood schools because you can do more inclusive programming with a little bit more staffing in those spaces. So it's mostly a reallocation, a redistribution of where those staff are. There is a reduction in there, but it still is a higher level of service than we provided in 2020 for the same number of students.
Thank you. So if I understand correctly, the level of students this year and next year and sort of what you're anticipating for the next couple of years is leveling off.
I'm not anticipating, but
Mr.
Dr. Homan, what are you anticipating?
It had declined.
It has declined.
It has declined in the past year or so.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Mr. Rocher, followed by Mr. Klein.
Michelle DeRocher, Precinct 19. Mr. Moderator, I'm interested to learn if there are any regionalization or partnership services to students from local communities that maybe offer an opportunity for some cost reductions centered in Arlington by sharing some of those costs with area communities. Is that a model that we use in Arlington?
Regionalization, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I don't know if that's a term of art or...
Partnerships with adjacent communities, nearby communities where, let's say, for example, on the override postcard, there was reference to some world languages and Latin instruction. It struck me that maybe those are smaller class sizes. Might there be opportunity for cost savings by joining forces?
So if I may, like educational services that are in coordination with other communities outside of Arlington to kind of pool or share resources for lower costs?
Correct.
Dr. Homan, is there anything like that, or?
So thank you, Mr. Moderator. Yes, there is. We do this actually a lot in special education. We have collaboratives. So we're a member of the Lab Collaborative, which is a group of, it's Lexington, Arlington, I will always forget one, Burlington, Belmont, Bedford, and Watertown recently joined. And I'm on the board of that collaborative, and it will pull costs down for special education tuitions for out-of-district schools. Lab is special because they actually are housed in our buildings across those districts. And they provide transportation. We partner on the transportation cost as well. We've been looking for partnerships that will allow us to pull the transportation costs down when we have students moving to other schools for lots of reasons. Sometimes that's due to housing insecurity. Sometimes that's due to special education needs and services. So those are a couple of examples. Could there be possibilities for partnering? We've partnered on athletics teams as well and had like mutual teams with other communities. That doesn't necessarily have a huge budgetary impact, but it's an example. So could there be opportunities for that? Yes, we just have to grapple with proximity and transportation challenges.
And to mitigate some of the transportation challenges, Mr. Moderator, I'm interested to know if remote learning is ever a component of how instruction is delivered post-pandemic.
Dr. Homan, is remote learning still part of the program post-COVID?
It is not, because it is not allowed by the state. We are expected to be in person for 180 days per year.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on those very impressive stats on student achievement that you expressed.
Thank you. I'll take Mr. Klein next, followed by Mr. Greenspan. And if you're interested in regionalized education, come back Monday night for the Minuteman High School budget. Mr. Klein?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I noted in the report that the town is possibly losing its Title I funding, and I was wondering if someone could speak to that.
Dr. Homan, Mr. Schweitzer, is the town losing its Title I funding for its public schools?
So it is looking like we will not lose Title I funding, which is fantastic. We had gotten, but we don't know yet. We receive information about that in July, usually. It was delayed last year, actually, almost to September because of holdups at the federal level. The first report we got looked like we were going to lose the funding. The second report that I received indicated that we would not and actually may have a slight increase to our funding. However, in anticipation of some of the challenges associated with Title I funding and the fact that we actually qualified 5 schools this year, in the past we've only ever qualified up to 3, we do not have staff allocated on the Title I budget for next year. It's going to go primarily to summer programming.
Thank you, Dr. Homan. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Mr. Greenspan, followed by Mr. Gersh. Mr. Gersh? Is Mr. Gersh? It doesn't say request to speak, so it's probably a mispress. Pi Fisher.
Pi Fisher, Precinct 6, motion to terminate debate.
Okay, we have a motion to terminate debate under the education budget, and we have a second. All those in favor of terminating debate on the education budget, say yay. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. It is a 2/3 vote. The education budget debate is terminated. Now, thank you, Dr. Homan and Mr. Schweitzer. Thank you. Next is the library's budget, budget number 23, Mr. Jameson. And while Mr. Jameson, let's clear the speaker queue before he begins. And when Mr. Jameson is done speaking, we'll see if there's more than 5 speakers, and we'll shuffle the queue if there are. Mr. Jameson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Gordon Jameson, Precinct 12. You may or may not realize that as part of the budgeting process that the expenses of all the town departments were cut by 10%, at least, yeah, in general. And the library requires a certain amount of expenditure to maintain its accreditation. So my question, Mr. Moderator, is the library's accreditation maintained with this budget?
Let's see, is Director Litton here? Good answer about libraries. Is the town's library's accreditation at risk due to the budget?
Thank you. Anna Litton, Director of Libraries. The town's appropriation to the libraries does allow us to meet our municipal appropriation requirement, which does help us maintain our certification as a library in Massachusetts. Our appropriation of $3,010,325 exceeds our MAR requirement by 1.7%.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, that is the end of debate on the library's budget. Next is the retirement budget, budget number 25. Mr. Jameson, do you want to lead us off? And while Mr. Jameson is speaking, the speaker queue is still clear. And if we get more than 5 speakers, I will shuffle them. Otherwise, we'll take them in order. Mr. Jameson, you have the floor.
Yes, Gordon Jameson, Precinct 12. So first, why do I get up here and talk about offsets against enterprise funds? It's because if we don't have the enterprise funds fully pay for the services they are providing and the staff that provide to those, we are subsidizing them out of the general fund. And over time, that takes money out of our schools, our fire department, our police department,
I'm sorry, Mr. Jameson,
our DPW.
Just to point out, you're getting to retirement. Okay.
Yes. So in the retirement budget, page B14, there is only one offset from the enterprise funds. By contrast, if you turn the page, there's a litany of offsets in the insurance budget for non-departmental expenditures. Next year, I would love to see the pension budget have a similar litany of offsets that the insurance budget has. Why is this important? I guesstimate that that's $75,000 that we're subsidizing those funds with. In addition, the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, the rate of increase of the pension cost is greater than the rate of increase in the Water and Sewer Enterprise offset. So back of the envelope guesstimate, that's another $25,000. So you can see how this adds up. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other requests to speak to the retirement budget, we'll move on to the insurance budget, number 26. Mr. Jameson, you have the floor. And again, if you wish to speak on the insurance budget, feel free to request to speak now, and I will shuffle the queue. If it's more than 5 speakers, Mr. Jameson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Gordon Jameson, Precinct 12. As I mentioned when I was up here a couple seconds ago, it's very important that when we look at these offsets, under the group health increases by an amount over time, and then the offsets need to, for the people who are not, who are in enterprise funds or other services. And in both of these things, I hope also that there'll be some enumeration of the school healthcare costs for non-professional employees at the pension and healthcare level. And I think that wraps it. And I do want to, before I stop, I do want to compliment the town's budgeting on this, because I have, this basically the first thing I ever did in town meeting was point out this issue. And it made a huge difference on the budgets back then. But we have to keep a careful look at this. But I do want to compliment the town staff, the manager and the deputy town manager on adding these things over the last several years. I thank them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have Mr. Brecht, followed by Andrew Fisher. They should all be working now.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. David Brecht, Precinct 10. I just had a question about, so Arlington's a member of the state GIC insurance plan, I believe, and I think that covers every eligible employee, within a certain minimum number of hours a week of work and stuff like that. Has anyone here priced what insurance costs would be if we got insurance via municipal pools or other alternative ways outside of the GIC?
Does anyone know whether, what the insurance cost might be if there was
specifically, just as far as the
pools?
alternative, it seems kind of like specifically, this is supposed to be something that benefit, it's a much broader pool to theoretically bring down costs in theory, but it seems to me, at least just with hospital concentration, with specialty pharma drugs, things like that, that actually just create a lot more inflation, that it really is not serving the purpose in a broader pool right now. That at least just what the alternatives are. I guess that's my question specifically.
Director Malloy.
Hi, Karen Malloy, Director of Human Resources. So the GIC currently covers about 500,000 people, so that's a pretty big pool, I just want to say that. And standard practice for the town is every other year we put our experience out to the market to see if any other competitor would like to offer us a better price. Since being in the GIC, we have not had a company come forward that can offer us better pricing for our group.
And when you say alternatives, you're saying put it out to the market in the sense of this goes through like insurance brokers who then go to the plans, or are you actually specifically going out to like the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, things like that?
No, yeah, I didn't say go to markets, but Director Malloy, when you said that, yeah. You can answer, yeah. Questions are just supposed to be directed to me, and I'm just giving him a hard time, that's all.
Okay. Yeah. I'm looking right over at her.
Yeah,
So, okay.
I know.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Let me make sure I understand the question. So we work with a broker. They get our claims experience from the GIC, and they directly approach other health insurance companies and say, here's Arlington's experience. Would you be interested in covering their employees? And if you are, what price would you give us?
Okay. So my understanding is that there are a bunch of cities and towns in Massachusetts that do not participate in the GIC, and they have alternative plans. It's not all the exact same go it alone. There are different arrangements. Apparently Somerville, Cambridge, Winchester. I think Belmont's actually getting into the GIC. Needham's not. I'm sorry, I just actually went through the list of who's in and who's not. Okay. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
that it's a mix of towns and cities that are in and not in. So obviously some of these other places like Somerville, for example, or Winchester have figured out some alternative that looks attractive enough that they've been able to attract insurance plans.
So is your question about the other towns, or what?
Yeah, well, I don't know, like, why would it be that we would be actually out, potentially trying to see if someone would offer us insurance at a good price, and meanwhile, and we can't get anyone to kind of go in on that, and then meanwhile, other towns are successful in that.
So I think the question is, why do other towns appear to be, municipalities appear to be successful at this in terms of reducing costs?
Well, the fact that we're able to, obviously it's being put out to tender from these other towns, and they are getting bids from insurance companies outside of the GIC, and they're taking that path. I guess that's the specific question I'm asking.
So,
some have done that. It depends on their experience, if it's attractive to that group.
Okay. Okay.
Well, something to watch, clearly, if municipalities
I just wanted to at least just ask the question. Okay.
Good question.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Fisher, Andrew Fisher.
Andrew Fisher, Precinct 6. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator, I just wanted to ask if the self-insured workers' comp program has had any kind of recent trends in causes of loss or anything.
Causes of loss in what sense?
Yeah, causes of...
the cost of that program.
Yeah.
Mr. Cunningham, or Mr. Feeney, can you speak to the cost of the self-insured workers' compensation program? Yeah, can you speak to the cost? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Cunningham, Town Council, and thank you for the questions. The town meeting may or may not know, but the workers' compensation self-insured benefits are administered through the legal departments. That's something that I'm familiar with, and there are, the trends have been fairly stable over the last few years, Mr. Fisher. We have noticed an increase in certain areas, but we do our best to make sure that the town's employees who are injured on the job are provided with benefits in a timely fashion, and that those benefits are provided efficiently, making sure to the best we can that the town's dollars are protected as well. But I would say and I think we've seen more claims on the school side than we have in the last, probably the last couple of years than in other years, but overall it's fairly stable.
Okay,
but that's covered under the legal budget, or is it under insurance budget?
It comes out of the insurance budget. It's self-insured. It's a line item under the insurance budget. If you look at the report, section 26, workers' compensation insurance is a $580,000 allocation for FY27, but that's administered through the legal department.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Fisher?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Schlickman?
Paul Schlickman, Precinct 9, and member of the school committee. I just want to note that the school department in the town moved from contracted health insurance to the GIC about 14 years ago. It required some element of negotiation with our bargaining partners. We negotiate with a bunch of units on our side. And there was a considerable savings for us when we moved from our own insurance plan into the GIC.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no other speaking requests for the insurance budget, that is the last of the held budgets. Now, before we go to a vote on the main motion, Mr. Feeney, did you have one more town employee that you wish to introduce for the first time as a town employee?
Jim Feeney, Town Manager. Last but not least, our first ever appointed Town Clerk, Julie Brazil.
Okay. You are still Madam Clerk. So we will now proceed to a vote. There's no amendments or any substitute motions. That would be interesting. So we are going to take a vote on the main motion of Article 64, which is a majority vote, and please someone correct me if it's not, because that would be unfortunate if we got that wrong. Majority vote to appropriate funds to defray town obligations, liabilities, outlays, and expenses for various departments and enterprise funds for fiscal year 2027. Okay, voting is now open on the main motion of Article 64. If you're in favor of the town budgets, press 1 for yes. If you're opposed to the town budgets, press 2 for no, to not appropriate funds, or 3 to abstain. Okay, get your votes in. Okay, let's close voting. Okay. And the motion passed, it's unanimous, 188 in the affirmative. Okay. Okay, you just spent a lot of money. Okay, that takes us to Article 65. Mr. Moore, do you want to kick us off? And let's clear the speaker queue before Mr. Moore begins. You can't see it, but I can. Okay, the speaker queue is now clear. If you wish to speak, you can request now. Mr. Moore, you have the floor, and we have a presentation. You have a slide presentation from Mr. Moore.
I'll introduce myself while we're waiting. I'm Christopher Moore, Precinct 14, and also Chair of the Capital Planning Committee. I'm going to be talking about the report to town meeting of the Capital Planning Committee. Looks like that. And looks like we're up. Okay. This is the short version. If you want all the detail, it's in the report, and I hope you've had some time to spend with it. Next slide, please. I'd like to start, well, here's the list of what we're going to do. Let's move on. Next slide. First, with thanks. This process, as with all the budgeting processes in town, is a really interesting collaboration between members of the committee, the department heads, all the town staff, as we try to figure out how to take a bunch of really good requests and shoehorn them into the budget that we have. So I'd like to particularly thank the town department heads, who are invariably very helpful in really explaining why it is they're looking for the requests that they have, and what can be put off or delayed or scaled down in order to make everything fit across the town. Secondly, I'd like to mention the Capital Planning Committee. You see them listed there. The eagle-eyed among you will note that there are 12 people listed there, and if you look at the bylaw, we're only allowed 11. The reason for that is Joe Barr, who was a longtime member of the committee, moved out of town and quit partway through the year. Another member who we lost this year after many years of good service was Joe Solomon, who the good citizens elected to be on the select board. So we'll be looking for a replacement for him. Good luck filling those shoes. And then also, I'd like to mention our town budget coordinator, Lauren Costa, who's not officially a member of the committee, but she's there every time and keeps us on track. Next slide, please. So the report content starts with the vote. What are we actually voting on? It takes 5 pages, pages 1 through 5. And it covers what we're going to buy, which we call acquisitions, as well as the stuff we have to pay for that previous town meetings borrowed money for. So that's the debt service. There's a 5-year capital plan, and what we vote on in town meeting is just the first year of that plan. So that's the FY27 capital budget. We also have in the plan the FY28 through FY31 years to give you some visibility into kind of how things are looking over the long term and to make sure that we're planning for those debt payments that we're going to have to make on things that we borrow this year. But that's not part of what we formally vote on in town meeting. And then in the appendices, you'll see a list of all the items, the 3-year history, and things like that. Next slide, please. So this year, the acquisitions in the capital budget are $19.6 million. We pay for them 3 ways: cash, bonds, and other. So cash is money that we collected from the general tax and from other places that are in the general fund that we can pay for things with. Bonds is borrowing things that we pay back later. Other is money that came from somewhere else. So that's grants, revolving funds, various other funds that might exist around town that don't arise from the general tax. So if you look at the list here of the major contributors to the capital budget, the big three are public works at 36%, schools and school IT at 35%, and facilities at 18%. That's about how it usually goes. If you look in the past, you'll notice that we've been more and more moving facilities things into the facilities department rather than having them represented and spread out among all the other department budgets. The new bonds authorized by this vote are $6.9 million. And as I said before, those obligate future town meetings to pay them back. In general, we only do bonds for purchases that are over $100,000 and not for things that we buy every year. Next slide, please. So debt service is another big component of the capital budget. This is paying for all the stuff we bought in the past. Non-exempt debt service at 41% of total corresponds to things that were purchased in the capital plan. And exempt debt service at 59% of the total is things that were authorized by debt exclusion votes. So think Arlington High School, for instance. Next slide, please. So how do we keep the capital budget under control? Our practice in Arlington for years has been to limit it to 5% of the town budget. The budget for FY27 is 5.00% of the town budget. The 5-year capital plan is 4.99% of the projected town budget over the 5 years. Now, the projection is just that. It's wrong. But over time, every year, we get a better feeling for what the current year is, and then we look at the new forecast for the out years and we adjust. So since the size of the budget, of the capital budget, is capped, if something new needs to happen, nobody's taxes are going up. What's happening instead is something else has to be canceled, delayed, or reduced. And that's the process that we go through starting in September, working with the department heads as I described. So next slide, please. Another thing I need to talk about tonight is the things we're not talking about. There are 2 big items which are represented in the next 2 articles after this one. So I think they're out of scope for this article, but they'll be in scope soon, that are looking at feasibility studies for major projects in the schools at Audison and at Hardy. The costs of the bonds for those feasibility studies are included in our future plans, so in other words, in the 5-year plan. But there's no cost to the capital budget for FY27, and the reason for that is when we borrow money, the first payment isn't due until the next fiscal year. So we can pass this without worrying about what happens to those other articles. No matter what town meeting does with those other articles, Article 65 is fine. So they're separable. The reason we're doing it that way is because that's what MSBA requires. Next slide.
That's the Massachusetts School Building Authority, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next slide, that was the brief version. I didn't want to ask for more of your time, so please check out the report. We'd be glad to answer any questions you have about its content and about our process. And respectfully ask for your affirmative vote on Article 65, the capital budget.
Thank you. Let's see, we have, show the speaker queue. We have 2 speakers. Since it's fewer than 5, we'll just take them in order. Mr. Jamieson, followed by Mr. Greenspan.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Gordon Jamieson, Precinct 12. I have 3 things. One I'm going to share with you as an accounting thing on privately for the committee to consider, to resolve an issue we've had for many years from my perspective. There was discussion briefly earlier during the DPW budget about how we can save and help you with your programming problem. So, you know, with the wash shed that they have at the DPW, which I'm sure the fire department can use, to a lesser extent the police cruisers, because they really run up their miles quickly. Street lights and elevators, you know, lots of these things, people say, this is when you should do it. If you take a 5-year entity and you make it last 6 years, that's a 20% savings. Right. Same with a 10-year entity if it's 12 years. Are you trying to look at that when possible? Through the moderator.
Yeah, I don't look at that, but Mr. Moore, is that something you would look at?
When the members of the committee work with the department heads, that's one of the things we're talking about, is what can we stretch? When you look in the 5-year capital plan, you'll see things that are planned in there for 4 years from now, we need a certain truck. That's a guess. And as that marches forward to the current year, we're working with the department head to say, well, how's that actual truck holding up? Sometimes it's falling apart, and we need to do it we need to replace it sooner. Other times it's kind of hanging together, and we delay it. So that's sort of it's a subject of continual refinement every year. But as we take better care of things, I presume that more things will last a little longer.
And my other question has to do with the antenna funds offset. Have you been able to research the reason that it's there? Is it for a real reason related to the capital plan, or is it something that was put there just to make it easier to hit the 5%?
I haven't had a chance, but maybe Mr. Moore has.
I have not researched it directly. My understanding is that it was put there purposely to help pay for certain expenses which typically land in the capital plan. So for instance, parks and fields and things like that. And then every year the manager's office reviews the funds that are available in there and whether they are applicable to the expenses that we're incurring.
Something for a rainy day. Thank you very much, Mr. Moore, and to your committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's say Mr. Tremblay, you're next. He's coming through the side. Here he is.
I see Ed Tremblay, Precinct 19. Mr. Moderator, I see on page 5, item 5.6, police station envelope restoration.
I'm sorry, what restoration?
Page 5, item 5.6.
Page 5, number 5.6.
We're going to spend $250,000 on police station envelope restoration. Didn't we just do that a couple of years ago?
Yes, we did.
Mr. Moore?
There was a major renovation of that building. Unfortunately, when we did that renovation, not everything got done. The particular item that I remember right now that's in there is the skylight, which needs some recoating apparently to keep it from leaking. And there are also some other leaks in the outside of the building that need fixing.
$250,000 for a skylight?
It's not just the skylight. There's other leaks around the building that need to be fixed. I'm sure we could ask for a little more detail from our facilities director if you would like that.
Mr. Tremblay, did you want more detail on that? Did you want more detail, or are you satisfied?
Sure, I'll hear more.
Okay. Director Mann?
Does that work?
Jay McNeil, Facilities Director.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The roof envelope, the exterior envelope project at the police station involves 3 components. The first is, we're actually, before I get into that, we're upgrading the HVAC equipment at the police station, and that includes new rooftop units. The roof there is over 20 years old, so we're going to recoat the roof before we put the new HVAC equipment on it. Second part of that is there's a very large atrium skylight that's fiberglass, also over 20 years old. Fiberglass deteriorates over time, and you need to recoat it to preserve its life. The third part of that is the exterior concrete envelope. There's a lot of cracking and failures in the concrete, and we're going to try to clean that up as well.
I thought that was part of the fixing cracks and stuff was part of the redoing the envelope. I don't know, 3 years ago or something?
Was that part of a project?
We spent millions of dollars.
That was before my time with the town. I'm not aware of any envelope work around that time.
Didn't we spend millions of dollars? Am I remembering this wrong? Didn't we just spend millions of dollars fixing cracks and leaks and stuff in the police station?
Does anyone know, did we spend millions of dollars a few years ago on the police station? Mr. Feeney?
Jim Feeney, Town Manager. There was a police station renovation project a number of years ago. It certainly wasn't 3 years ago. I think it may have been back around, might have even been a decade ago now. But the large atrium skylight and the roof were not touched at that time. Neither were many of the central HVAC components.
I must be getting old.
Okay, thank you.
We all are.
Okay. All right. Scope. All right. We are out of speakers for Article 65. So seeing no more speakers, we will proceed to a vote on the main motion, which I will describe briefly before we open voting on the main motion. This is a 2/3 vote to adopt the Capital Planning Committee's recommended vote to appropriate sums for capital equipment, infrastructure, and projects via taxation, transfers, and borrowing. So let's open voting now on the main motion of Article 65. If you're in favor of adopting the capital budget, voting is now open. If you're in favor of the capital budget and adopting it, press 1. Press 1. If you're opposed to the capital budget and wish to reject it, press 2, or 3 to abstain. This is a 2/3 vote. Okay, let's close voting. And it is unanimous, 181 in the affirmative and no votes against, which is a 2/3 vote. So that takes us now to Article 66. Let's see, and who is introducing is Ms. Wayman or Dr. Homan? Okay, and we have slides or both. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Julie Wayman, Deputy Town Manager. Could we request 10 minutes for this presentation?
Okay, so we have a request for 10 minutes, and we have a second.
We'll speak fast.
Yeah, and all those in favor of a 10-minute presentation instead of just 7, say yay. Yay. All those opposed, say nay. It's a majority vote. You have, let's see, 10 minutes.
All right. Thank you. You can go to the next slide. We are going to quickly walk through these agenda items. Next slide. Very quickly. So right now, the OMS project is in the eligibility period. That is the first phase of the MSBA process. This slide is probably hard to read. It is in your materials, which are hopefully a little bit easier to read. But this outlines the full MSBA process. We are in that first part of the process, that first phase. This is an information gathering stage for the MSBA. It gives us a chance to provide them with information that supports the community in making important decisions at later stages of the process. This is when we form a building committee, articulate a broad vision for the work that would happen were we to build a new school, and provide detailed information about the current building and its programming. It's also when we work with the MSBA to determine the maximum possible enrollment for the building. Next slide, please. The MSBA provides 8 priorities that we choose from when we submit a statement of interest, which we did last spring. These were the 2 priorities that were named in our application to rebuild the school. They pertain to replacement, renovation, and modernization of facility systems, and replacement or addition to obsolete buildings in order to provide a full range of programming. Next slide, please. We have received a lot of questions from community members about the current state of OMS. It is outlined in detail in the original statement of interest proposal to the MSBA, which is publicly available and we're happy to share. I want to highlight just a few of the building concerns that were highlighted in the SOI and the major categories of concern that led us to apply for core program consideration. The primary concerns included HVAC challenges. They can't be addressed easily in a renovation due to the building's design and infrastructure. The current HVAC system is relying on multiple backup boilers, and the pneumatic valve system is failing in multiple places, leading to extreme temperatures in all seasons, and significant dollars spent attempting to diagnose and address issues every single year. Other concerns have included a lack of spaces for inclusive programming, poor accessibility that comes really nowhere close to current code, and more importantly, makes it difficult for community members and students to access parts of the building. The flat roof design is constantly being patched, drained, repaired, and has led to significant water intrusion, and the exterior envelope is deteriorating, among several other challenges that we've had with the facility. Next slide, please. In 2022, we commissioned a capital needs assessment at OMS to determine the potential cost and most critical capital upgrades required to improve conditions. That assessment highlighted critical needs in HVAC, exterior envelope, and roofing repairs, none of which we're able to affordably address in the capital budget. It also emphasized that renovation won't solve all of the challenges related to water intrusion and HVAC, as I said. Also, the MSBA assessed all schools in the state every few years through the MSBA School Survey Program. They actually did their last assessment in 2025, shortly before we submitted the SOI. The study involves trained engineers and other experts. It considers all aspects of building conditions, and they conduct site visits also to schools that are advanced into senior study after the SOI. Essentially, the MSBA's architects, engineers, and experts have concluded that the school requires rebuilding, and we were admitted for after the first application that we sent in to the MSBA because of that assessment, which is rare. And so the work that has been done by the MSBA has been done by experts and has concluded much of what we have concluded and what this study had concluded. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Wayman. Next slide, please.
And I forgot to mention, speaker queue is open right now. We didn't clear it, but I'll figure it out, just so you can enter the speaker queue. Ms. Wayman?
Okay, I don't think I can speak as quickly as Liz, but I'm going to try. Okay, so given the information gathered during that capital needs assessment that identified significant work needed at the Audison, in 25, APS was encouraged to apply for MSBA funding, as Liz was talking about. In April 2025, APS submitted 2 statements of interest in an attempt to offset our capital costs. And the statement of interest for Audison was unanimously approved in April by the school committee and the select board. APS entered into the eligibility phase in December 2025. APS is currently working to complete those eligibility requirements, which include submission of background information about student enrollment, the building itself, the potential project to the MSBA, and also securing funding for a feasibility study, hence the warrant article tonight. Once these eligibility requirements are complete, the board offers an official invitation to the core program. The next major phase of this work is the feasibility study. So Arlington would engage with MSBA to establish a project team. That team would then work to determine the site for construction, establish an educational program aligned with the district's strategic plan and the district's enrollment profile. The feasibility study itself is what establishes that final site and the cost for the potential building. The process requires significant community engagement and discussion, as well as assessment of current facilities and programming across APS. We plan to explore this as part of the process, whether it would make sense to relocate existing school or town programming, adjust current enrollment boundaries, or other actions that could reduce long-term costs to the town as a result of the project, while providing students with state-of-the-art, sustainable, inclusive, and accessible facility that would be used for programming by the full community. Next slide, please. So to give you a sense of when residents would begin seeing the costs of this project in your tax bill, we've included a timeline. This is from the Arlington High School project. So from the quick snapshot from the project website, you can see the project took over 10 years to complete. So from the statement of interest submission to the Mass School Building Authority in April 2015, and the invitation to the eligibility period, where we're now with the OMS project, through exclusion vote to feasibility study in November 2017, and then the schematic design in February 19. Finally, construction began in 2020, and in November 23 and January 24, Phase 2 wings, district offices, and the preschool opened. So this is just to illustrate the fact that Audison could take a similar length of time to achieve those same milestones. The phased process impacts when we borrow money for these projects. Next slide, please. So just as the project was phased, so would the borrowing be for a project for Audison. So the information above just shows you the amount that we borrowed for the high school and when we did those borrowings. As you can see, we did not borrow that entire $200 million at one time. Funding for the project took about 6.5 years to complete. So from the time of the exclusion vote for construction of the high school in June 2019 through to now, it took about 7 years for that full impact to be realized on tax bills. And as a reminder, we will only borrow for the feasibility study if we are invited into this phase and not before February, likely February 2027, when we're expected that MSBA would formally invite us into the program. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, were this warrant article to pass, the next step would be to await MSBA invitation into the feasibility study, which would likely occur in February 27. Then APS would continue to complete the prerequisite requirements. That phase would include documenting educational programming needs, assessing potential project scope, and preparing for a feasibility study. Also worth noting that the core program is a lengthy and deliberative process and does require many opportunities for community input and approval in order to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So because I didn't clear the speaker queue, and let's not clear it now, let's just leave it. I'm going to ask a weird question to Mr. Jameson, Mr. Tremblay, and Mr. Carmen. If you did not, Mr. Carmen in the lobby, if you did not intend to request to speak, please hit 0 on your handset in the next 5 seconds. Okay, thank you. Okay, can we, since we have more than 5 speakers, can we shuffle the speaker queue, please? Okay, thank you. So next up is Ms. Evans. Yeah, can we show the speaker queue now? Yeah.
Thank you. Winnell Evans, Precinct 14. I am just curious about the cost of the feasibility study. It is twice what the feasibility study was for the high school, and I know that the world has gone crazy in the past 7 years, which probably contributes to this, but I'd love to know a little bit more about why the cost is what it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Either Ms. Wayman or Dr. Homan or Mr. Feeney, why is the cost of the feasibility study what it is?
Thank you, Jim Feeney, Town Manager. I'm not sure if I heard the comment was twice, but I believe the AHS feasibility study was $2 million, and the Audison Middle School feasibility study is being proposed at $2.5 million. Is that the? That is correct. The feasibility study for the high school was $2 million, and Audison, we're asking for $2.5.
Great, thank you. Mr. Lamani, followed, well, I don't know if it'll be followed by because it's getting to that hour.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Fatan Limani, Precinct 15. Mr. Moderator, just a quick, if we can get a quick clarification on how this feasibility budget payment is going to work. Are we going to go with the feasibility study first, or we will wait until we get the commitment from MSBA for the like rebuilding before we do the feasibility study? How's that going to work? I don't know if this was clarified, so sorry if I missed it.
Yeah, Mr. Feeney or Dr. Homan, can you clarify the process as Mr. Lamani was asking about?
Sure, Jim Feeney, Town Manager. If we complete the eligibility period requirements and we make our submissions to the MSBA, we would have to wait formal invitation into what's called the feasibility study phase. We're still in a preliminary phase. So if we were invited by the MSBA, we would sign what's called a feasibility study agreement, and that would set what our local reimbursement rate was going to be, and then we would proceed with the actual feasibility study. We would come up with a preferred concept through, likely a year and a half or upwards of 2 years of public process, and that would be forwarded along by the Audison Middle School Building Committee to the MSBA for approval, and then at some point that would go before the voters of Arlington for a debt exclusion vote.
Thank you.
That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, I just want to put this on record that I strongly support this feasibility study of Audison Middle School as a necessary step to plan for an aging facility and ensure it can meet today's educational needs. My older daughter goes to this school, and she's been keep asking me all the time, what are you going to do about this school? And here I am doing something about it. Thank you so much. And I encourage everyone to support this, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Just reminding everyone it is 10:59. Take Mr. Metin Kilik next.
Hi, Mr. Moderator. This is Metin from Precinct 11. So I have a question regarding the high school budget that we paid. How much did we get from the MSBA of that 200 million, or is it the cost to the town, that 200 million that came out of?
For which project? For
the Arlington High School.
Of the Arlington High School, and you're going to relate this back to Audison feasibility study, correct?
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, so we are saying that the participation with the MSBA allow us the town to significantly offset the cost, So I was
Yes.
wondering what percentage of that 200 million came from the like MSBA?
Yeah, does Dr. Homan or Mr. Feeney, does anyone know what percentage, ratio, what portion of the high school building project was covered by MSBA funding?
Sure, I don't have what we would call the effective reimbursement rate off the top of my head, but roughly it was a $284 million project. You saw on a prior slide that we borrowed roughly $200 million here in Arlington. Our reimbursement rate was 49% through the MSBA, but there were some expenses on that project that were not eligible for reimbursement, so our effective reimbursement rate was under our MSBA reimbursement rate, which was 49%.
49%, I see. And is that the 200, Mr. Moderator, like 200 million, is that the, like what we paid at like from the Arlington budget?
Mr. Feeney, did the town pay $200 million for the high school building project?
As a net?
Jim Feeney, town manager, that is what we will pay. We have not paid $200 million yet. That's what we've borrowed.
Okay.
Through the debt exclusion, yeah. Yep. Okay, we have a motion, point of order. And we do have a motion to adjourn and a second pending. Mr. Greenspan?
Andy Greenspan, Precinct 5. I just want to check that if we continue this in the next item to Monday, the requisite staff members will be here Monday night to answer questions.
Like if we finish tonight, we'll...
If we adjourn tonight, will like the requisite school staff be here or anyone else to answer questions on this in the next article?
I think the relevant question, if we finish this, like Article 66 and 67, because there's two feasibility studies.
If we adjourn right now, will those people be here Monday night when we continue this?
Okay, got it. Dr. Homan, will you and school staff be present to answer questions Monday if we don't finish these tonight? Yes, the answer is yes. Thank you. Okay, so before I take the motion to adjourn, a couple things. Are there any notices of reconsideration? Yeah, Ms. Deschler?
Christine Deschler, Chair of the Finance Committee. I give notice of reconsideration on Articles 64 and 65.
Okay. Madam Clerk, you have those? And that covers what I think Mr. Moore was going to say. And also, a reminder that Monday, when we come back on Monday, the 11th, we'll take up the Minuteman High School budget, and the presentation is in the annotated warrant under Article 72. So I suggest you prepare for that, and the slides are there in the annotated warrant. Superintendent Driscoll of the Minuteman High School will be presenting on Monday. I'll need to figure out what we'll do with the feasibility study articles and the scheduling. I'll work that out later this week. And so we have a motion to adjourn, a second. All those in favor of adjourning say yay. Yay. All those opposed say nay. We are adjourned. See you Monday.